Alrighty, you guys should be able to hear me. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We have got the Singapore Grand Prix starting in 30 minutes time. Lots of action is underway. The pit lane exit has just been closed. All of the drivers have left the pits and they have made their way to the grid apart from Russell and Hamilton. Those are the last two drivers out, and yeah, we're going to have some fantastic racing today. Of course, Lando Norris starting in first place. We'll wait and see if he can hold on to that first place going into lap number one. Verstappen will be starting. He'll be looking to, well, overtake Norris as soon as possible. And then, of course, we've got Hamilton, Russell in third and fourth, Piastri in fifth. The Ferraris with the task to make their way through the pack, and Sergio Perez as well, starting in 13th place. He's got to make up some positions as well. All right. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, folks, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Massively helps out the channel. But I'm not going to say too much more of that. And oh, in fact, let me just move this subscriber. There we go. All right. Unfortunately, the weather forecast predicts no storms for today. I had a look at the weather forecast for Marina Bay in the next 10 days, and for the next 10 days straight, it says isolated thunderstorms and scattered thunderstorms around Singapore. But for the past 3 days, we've had no rain while the Formula One is on, which is, it's just Formula One's luck, really. We are at Singapore in the rainy part of the year, but no rain is forecast, so it is what it is. Yeah, we'll have 62 laps of racing around here, and I'll run you through the strategy options. I'll run you through quite a few other things as well as we build up to the start of this race. Folks, do let me know in the chat who you think is going to win, what's going to happen into turn number one. We also have one new DRS zone here to make the total up to 4 DRS zones on the entire circuit. So that is going to, that's going to definitely help overtaking. We may have a couple of DRS trains here and there as well, but it should be good either way. Right, so if we have a look at the strategy guide from Pirelli, we have got a predicted one-stop. Start the race on the hard tyres, then start the race on the mediums, and then go on to the hards, or start the race on the softs, and then go on to the hards. Of course, Singapore here is quite a difficult circuit to overtake at, so the teams do opt to go for a one pit stop strategy. And the other thing is that the pit stops, say in Singapore, are quite long actually, 28.5 seconds. Normally it's only 22 seconds, but those extra 6 seconds that you lose in the pits, they cost you dearly, very, very dearly. However, normally the drivers only lose 9 seconds in the pit lane they gain 7 to 9 seconds in the pits if they pit under safety car or virtual safety car conditions. However, this weekend, they'll gain 15 seconds if they pit under the safety car or virtual safety car. So a huge time gain if the safety car comes out this weekend, and we will, the drivers will definitely benefit from that. Oh, Gabriel Thomas, thank you for the donation once again for £4, £5. Sempre Ferrari. Well, we'll see what Ferrari can do, but 9th and 10th position for both Ferrari drivers. Of course, Carlos Sainz had that crash. They've checked the engine, they've checked the gearbox, everything is looking good, so Sainz should be fine. And then, yeah, the Leclerc, of course, just had a bad qualifying, couldn't put a lap together. Oh, we've got Luke with a $5 donation. Thank you, Luke. Really hoping for a McLaren win on my birthday. Well, that would be spectacular, wouldn't it? Of course, we had a spectacular race last weekend for my birthday, and we hit 100k as well, which was amazing. But we shall wait and see what the McLarens can do. Norris in first position. He is obviously going to start from pole, and he's going to have the best chance of leading into turn number one, leading into turn number three, but he hasn't had the best track record. So yeah, happy birthday, Luke, and we'll see what the McLarens can do. All right, folks, what else have we got to talk about? Oh yeah, well, the chance of safety car here around Singapore is 100%. If you look at the races from 2016 to 2023, so for the previous, 9 years or something? Previous 8 years, we have had a safety car every single race. So hopefully we break the streak of not having a safety car, and we actually see the safety car come out, and Bert Mylander drives around in that Aston and keeps all the drivers behind him. We could get some very, very good action if the safety car does come out. Yeah. All right. So let's see, what other questions have we got in the chat? Can Red Bull win today? Well, I think with Max Verstappen's car, certainly. Sergio Perez is going to have a much, much more difficult job. Starting in 13th position, so far back compared to his teammate, he's going to have to, well, drive his absolute... he's going to drive his gloves off, really. And it's going to be... Yeah, it's going to be a long race for Sergio Perez. 62 laps that will be racing around Singapore, and we'll see what Perez can do. But it's going to be tough. But the top is going to be so close. Everyone is within a tenth of each other. We looked at the race pace simulations yesterday, and the McLarens, the Ferraris, and the Red Bulls and the Mercedes, all of them are basically identical. Red Bull and Mercedes were suffering from some setup issues on Friday when they did the race pace sims. If you account for the extra pace that they gained after fixing their setup, everyone's lap time is identical, and well, that just means loads of action for us. Ben Taro, thank you for the work you put into this channel. Do you think team orders will happen? For example, Russell and Hamilton on row 2 first lap scramble. Ooh, that is an interesting question, actually. Thank you, Ben, for the donation. And so of course we had the sort of question being thrown up in Monza when it was a McLaren 1-2 and they were leading the way, and the question was, should they use team orders and say don't switch positions but don't let yourself get overtaken as well? So it's a bit of a compromise here. If you're in 1 and 2, it makes sense, you go for team orders and you don't lose position. Whereas if you're doing it on the second row of the grid, there could be an opportunity for Hamilton to overtake Verstappen or to overtake Norris. And if they go for the team orders strategy, then they're going to say, "Oh, stay in third and fourth position and don't overtake." So it's a risk versus reward. The risk is that they could lose the position if they go to just drive against each other, and the reward is that if they do the team orders, then they guaranteed cannot lose a position. So I think what Mercedes will do, both drivers are fairly experienced. I don't think they're going to be using team orders on the first lap of the race. And in fact, George Russell would be the driver who is sort of a number 1 at Mercedes. Like, admittedly, Hamilton is the driver with more championships and things like that. But Hamilton's leaving next year and Russell isn't. So that puts the number 1 on George Russell, and I think they're going to keep it. Just let them race. And yeah. Ooh, Tom. Thank you for joining the YouTube subscription. All right, let me read all of these messages. There are so many messages coming by. Where is McLaren finishing today? Honestly, if I could tell you, then I would have placed a bet on it already. How do you think Hamilton will do at Ferrari? Well, I think he'll do all right, to be fair. His pace has been slightly lackluster in the past couple of races, but he's managed to bounce back for this race. So I think it was just a slouch, a bad couple of weekends for Hamilton, and then he'll be back for this weekend, and he'll be back when he's at Ferrari. All right, one other thing. Let's see, Hülkenberg for the podium. Yeah, Hülkenberg starting in 6th position. If there's a bit of chaos up ahead of him, which definitely could happen, by the way, like there is no guarantee that the top 5 will go through in one piece on lap number 1. We know Verstappen is going to try and be really aggressive going into turn 1. And the other thing is that you have to keep in mind that Norris will be starting on the outside of turn number 1. Verstappen will have the inside line by default. The way that the grid is set up at the Singapore Grand Prix means all of the drivers with odd numbers as their grid position, they'll be starting on the right-hand side of the circuit. All of the drivers with even grid positions, they'll be starting on the left-hand side of the circuit, which means that going into turn number 1, Verstappen will have the inside line. So all he needs is a good start. He doesn't need, he doesn't need to switch positions and get into the optimal racing line to get an overtake done. He's already on the inside. He can get the overtake done. He just needs a better start than Norris. So, yeah, we'll find out. We shall find out. But this is the thing: the gap between Norris and Verstappen in the Constructors' Championship, in the Drivers' Championship, is 313 points for Max Verstappen, 254 points for Lando Norris. So the gap is fairly big. Let me just calculate that on my phone. Yeah, it's a 59-point gap. Now, if Lando Norris wins this race, Verstappen doesn't, and Verstappen, gets no points whatsoever, then we'll find out what happens, but that will break open the championship for the rest of the season. But I think it's going to be fine for now, as long as Verstappen doesn't do anything stupid and his engine doesn't blow up. He should be fine. Right. F1 Gamer, do you think we will see a crash around turn 7, 8, or like in sector 1 and 2? Well, if the drivers are going side by side towards turn number 7, I don't think we'll see a crash. Maybe we'll see a spin at turn number 7. Maybe we'll see a driver go straight on. There is a runoff area at 7, and the exit curb is quite dangerous at 7. We see a lot of drivers going sideways in the past couple of sessions in practicing in quali, so the drivers will have to be wary of that and make sure not to go sideways, and otherwise, they're going to go into the barriers. Can we expect Oscar on the podium? Well, I mean, you could expect all of the top 5 drivers on the podium, so I don't know. It's very, very unpredictable. All right. Do you think Leclerc can finish in the top 4? Yeah, I mean, I'd appreciate if you didn't spam the message about 100 times, but yeah, if he can make his way through the pack, which is going to be a tough job, but yeah, we'll see. There's a 59-point gap with 7 races to go, so Max should be safe. Yeah, he should be safe. I have a feeling that if it wasn't Lando Norris driving the McLaren, say if it was someone a little bit more experienced, maybe if it was Fernando Alonso, well, Fernando Alonso is probably the most experienced, but if you say Fernando Alonso maybe competing in that McLaren, I have a feeling that championship gap would not be 59 points. It would probably be more like 30, 40 points, and but yeah, of course, Lando Norris hasn't got experience competing for a World Drivers' Championship. Fernando Alonso has. So yeah, it's just the way things go, and it's going to be a 59-point gap with 7 races left of the season. Oscar is in supreme form. Indeed, he was driving like a world champion. I've got to say, Oscar was driving much better than Lando Norris in Baku, and yeah, honestly, I think in this race as well, he'll be looking to try and get ahead of Russell, looking to try and get ahead of Hamilton, and yeah, we'll see. I think McLaren might be able to do something with the strategy here, given that there's one driver ahead of them, one driver behind. They could try to undercut. Piastri could try to undercut Russell and Hamilton, which would force them to come into the pits early, which would mean Norris could go on to win the race. There are so many different possibilities, and they can only really be interpreted after lap number 1 has happened. So we'll find out. We'll find out what happens. All right. So let's see what else is in the chat. Where do you think Daniel Ricciardo goes after he retires? Ooh, that is a tough question to answer, isn't it? Daniel Ricciardo, there are so many rumors flying around that Danny Rick is going to get the boot from Red Bull, from Racing Bulls at the end of this race. Danny boy, thank you for the $10 donation, right on cue. Yeah, so Daniel Ricciardo, I think what's going to happen for him is that he may go to another racing series. He may continue as a test driver, but I don't know. I think Daniel Ricciardo is far too talented to be a test driver. However, we're saying that he's talented, but his performances haven't been showing that. He's been matching Tsunoda, behind Tsunoda quite often, and I don't know. It's very, very unfortunate. Ricciardo is a very quick driver, very likable guy, and a lot of people on the grid like to see him around, but he's just not able to perform, and it's just the way the sport works, isn't it? There are 20 drivers, and if you aren't at the top of the headlines saying that you're doing fantastically, then in 1 or 2 years' time, you're going to be losing your seat. The same's going to happen to Guan Yu Zhou. He's been performing all right, been able to keep up with Bottas close enough, and yeah, he's going to probably get knocked out of the grid for next year as well. Do you think Bottas would be a good signing for Audi? Indeed, he would. Valtteri Bottas would be a fantastic signing for Audi. The question is, will Audi pay up for Valtteri Bottas? Because Bottas, very experienced driver, he's worth a lot of money, and he'll be getting a big salary. Now, the question is, will he get that when he goes to Audi, or will they go for a cheaper driver like Franco Colapinto? He's been able to perform. He's only been a couple of tenths behind Albon in quali, so why not give Colapinto a shot? Right. The origin of the rumor was that Helmut Marko said a decision will be made in between Singapore and Kosa, implying for the 2025 seat he won't be dropped before the end of the season. Interesting. Okay, so maybe he won't be dropped, but nonetheless the decision will be made. I mean, we've seen it before. I think Danny Kvyat got dropped at the US Grand Prix and got demoted from the Red Bull team. So maybe it'll happen again. Yeah, the weather forecast is dry. It is the rain that was expected to arrive will not be arriving. For the next 10 days, it will be raining in Singapore, but just not today. I mean, this race would have been fantastic if it was raining. It would have been totally spectacular. But, sometimes things are just not meant to be. Yeah, we've just got the message from race control. Risk of rain for Formula One race is 0%. Okay. Oh wow, we've nearly got 5,000 people watching the live stream. That's spectacular. We're still 15 minutes away from the start of the race, folks. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. It would massively, massively help out the channel. So let's see what else have we got to talk about. No grid penalties this weekend. No one has taken any sort of penalty. And that being said, I think it's fair enough, because why would you take a penalty at Singapore? It's very difficult to overtake around here. We'll wait and see if it becomes easier. Given we have 4 DRS zones, that should help overtaking. And maybe we will see a lot more overtakes than we normally do at the Singapore Grand Prix. What do you think of the overtakes considering? Yeah, for any of you guys that haven't tuned into the live stream so far, I shall just show you where all the DRS zones are. So we've got one DRS zone going down the main straight, then you've got the second DRS zone going down the back straight here, and then you've got the third DRS zone between turn number 13 and 14, which is straight along here, and then another DRS zone from 14 to turn number 16, so straight along here. And yeah, 4 DRS zones, the highest out of any circuit on the Formula One calendar. And I think it's fair enough. Singapore is a difficult circuit to overtake at, so adding some extra DRS zones should help the overtaking opportunities. All right. If I remember correctly, Marco went out to say Daniel isn't getting dropped until the end of the season. Might have been another Red Bull employee, but not Marco said it. Okay, so... all right, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Ricciardo. Maybe, because I think Verstappen was asked if this is his last race or something. So I think that might have come from Verstappen's interview answer or interview question that he was asked. But nonetheless, we'll wait and find out. The announcement will be very, very swiftly after the Singapore GP. Maybe, Ricciardo gets a podium this weekend and all is forgiven and he gets a seat for next year. Only time will tell. But with now 12 minutes to go, all eyes are now on Lando Norris and what is his race warm-up procedure. A lot of drivers have a lot of different things. Some people like to go to the back of the garage, listen to some music. Some people, hype themselves up. We see Gasly do quite often see Gasly doing reaction timing exercises where he, his trainer will drop a tennis ball and he's got to catch it just before it hits the ground. And well, I'm sure Norris will have been practicing his clutch settings and his clutch lift off as soon as the lights go out. Yeah. Right. Will Max overtake Lando into turn number 1? Well, if the history books are anything to go by, then yes, then I think Verstappen will overtake Norris going into turn number 1. I think Norris has got 8 starts from pole position or 7 starts from pole position, and he has never led from lap number 1 at the end of lap number 1. So maybe Max will jump in. Of course, we know the one thing that Norris does have to his advantage is that he'll be on the clean side of the grid. So because Norris will be lining up on the right-hand side, as all of the drivers with odd numbers in their starting positions will be, the right-hand side of the grid is generally ever so slightly cleaner than the left-hand side of the grid, which means that Norris should, in theory, be getting a better start than Norris should be getting a better start than Verstappen. However, in theory and in practice are 2 totally different things, and only time will tell which one's going to actually happen. All right. Also, I'd like to point out Franco Colapinto did a fantastic job in qualifying yesterday. Absolutely stunning. He was only, I think, 2/10 back from Alex Albon. He had quite a slow first lap. I think he was 2 seconds off the pace compared to everyone else, and then went back into the garage, looked at all of the telemetry, found out where he needed to gain all of the time back, and he did exactly that, and ended up qualifying behind Alex Albon. 2-3 tenths behind him, and I think that is spectacular for Colapinto because he's never raced at the Singapore Grand Prix circuit before. In the junior formulas, in Formula 2 and in Formula 3. They don't come to Singapore because there's not enough space in the paddock. There are a whole other bunch of different reasons why Formula 2 and Formula 3 don't come here, but nonetheless, Colapinto has never raced at this circuit before. He'll have had some time in the simulator, but apart from that, he's come here, done 3 practice sessions, and got within 2/10 of Alex Albon. Did it rain during the last 24 hours? Was the rubber still on the track? It did not rain last night, so the rubber is still on the track, unlike what happened on Friday night where the rubber got washed away. It was 7,000ths of a second gap between Albon and Colapinto. Okay, so it was very, very close then. Do you think Ocon is a good signing for Haas? Yeah, Ocon definitely. Well, yeah, Ocon's a pretty decent driver. He's we've got quite a few memes going around of him, whether he's actually what are the memes about Ocon? Oh yeah, just 5-second penalty memes for Esteban Ocon. But apart from that, Ocon's a fairly decent driver. He's fairly quick, and I think he'll be a good teammate for Oliver Behrman. He doesn't have the best track record, but I think it should be all right. It should be fine. All right. So yeah, 7 minutes away now. 7 minutes away from the start of the Grand Prix. Oh wow, we're at 7,000 people watching. That is mind-blowing, folks. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Very much do appreciate all of the support. And we are going to have a very, very exciting Singapore Grand Prix now. Of course, Fernando Alonso, he'll be starting in 7th position. He's dragged that Aston Martin up into Q3. Fernando Alonso's teammate, Lance Stroll, down in 17th position. 10 position difference between those two drivers. Absolutely enormous. And yeah, I don't know what Stroll's going to do when Adrian Newey starts designing his car, because, well, it's just going to be, I don't know what Stroll's going to do, but if Alonso's winning races, then hopefully Stroll ends up on the podium. Otherwise, things aren't going to work out too well for him. Yeah, so Alonso will be trying to, potentially get up into the top 5 if there's some carnage up ahead of him. Of course, this Singapore Grand Prix, it is a very driver-oriented circuit, so because of that, the drivers can make a difference, and Alonso's managed to do that ahead of Lance Stroll. Oh, look at that, we've got a nice message from Oscar Piastri. Woohoo! I mean, he's sounding pleased, and I think he's going to have a great race today. Alright, I will take you through a lap of the circuit while we are waiting. We've got 6 minutes till we get underway. So, we of course have got the main straight where the drivers do have DRS. Going into turn number 1, the drivers go through around here, go through here in 4th gears, hit the brakes just at the start of the curbs, and then trail brake into turn number 1, back onto the throttle through turn number 2. You have to be careful not to exceed track limits there, otherwise you can get a lap time deleted. I think Leclerc did get a lap time deleted yesterday in quali. Then you go through turn number 3. You've got to hit that apex. You get loads of understeer, especially at the start of your lap. On turn number 1, lap number 1, the driver's going to get loads of understeer because the tyres will not be perfectly up to temperature. But you get your way through turn number 3, and turn number 5, it is so important that you get very close to the barriers. It is hugely critical to get a good exit out of here because this is the longest straight on the circuit. There's DRS coming through this little kink as well, and you brake at turn number 7. The exit curbs at turn number 7 are quite lethal. We've seen so many drivers go sideways, so many drivers get a bit of airtime because of them, and essentially they're going to have to stay away from that. Even if they are going side by side, one of the drivers may have to bail out and go to the other side of the exit curbs to ensure that they don't damage their floor while driving over it. Then of course you've got turn number 8 and 9, both 90-degree right-handers, and the apex is right next to the wall, the exit is right next to the wall. It is utter focus from the drivers going through that part of the track. And then they go towards turn number 10. It's a very, very tricky chicane. It used to be the sling chicane. Oh, actually, no, the sling chicane was a different part, but nonetheless, this is a very difficult part of the circuit. You turn left, then you turn right, then you turn left, and then you turn right again. As you go into turn number 13, it's quite easy to lock up your front right tyre because you're turning a little bit right as you go through turn number 12, and then all of your front loading goes to your front left tyre, and then locking up your front right is very, very easy. So the drivers are very careful as they go through turn number 13. Then you've got a DRS zone towards turn number 14. There's a nice bit of exit curb there, which the drivers can drive over at turn number 14. We see that quite often. We've even seen a couple of drivers just kiss the barriers as they go through there. So we'll see if any of the drivers get any damage doing that in today's race. And then they go through turn number 15, which is once again where the DRS zone is. Turn number 16 is very tricky. We've seen so many drivers lose the rear end through there because your rear tires are screaming from sector 1 and sector 2, and we've seen loads of drivers lose 2, 3, 4 tenths as they go through there. So the drivers will have to be careful. And then you go through the penultimate corner. If it was a quali lap, the drivers will be 50% on the throttle and then just turn the car in. However, in race conditions, they're going to dab the brakes a little bit, then flick the car in, and then they're going to go back onto the start-finish straight. So that is the lap of the Singapore Grand Prix, a very technical circuit with total and utmost focus needed from the drivers. Track temperature is up at 37 degrees. We've got air temperature at 30 degrees. The drivers will definitely be sweating. All of the drivers have got ice packs on already. They're going to be totally as hydrated as possible. However, their water bottles in their car is only 1.5 litres for them, and the drivers lose nearly 4 kilograms of water, nearly 4 litres of water through just sweating at this circuit. So yeah, it's going to be a very tough and physical race for them as well, and we'll see how they manage. But here we are at round number 18 at Singapore, a fantastic circuit that we've had on the calendar for so long now. 5 kilometers is the total length of the circuit. We'll have 62 laps of racing, 4 DRS zones, top speeds reaching 200 miles per hour or 320 kilometers per hour. There isn't that much elevation change because it is right next to the sea, and the tires that we have from Pirelli are the soft, medium and hard, and the C5, the C4 and the C3 respectively. So the pace difference between the mediums and the hards is quite big. It's actually 0.6 of a second. So the undercut, if you start the race on if you start the race on the mediums to go onto the hards, the undercut is slightly less powerful because the hards are quite slow around here. However, I would not count out the undercut because we've seen this in the past. Seb Vettel put a monstrous undercut lap together in 2019, and he managed to, oh my god, Hamilton starting the race on softs. Okay, this is an interesting strategy. But yes, the undercut can work. Vettel pulled off a monstrous lap for the undercut to get the win in 2019. He was like 4 seconds quicker than the rest of the competition on a fresh set of hard tyres. Yeah, that was fantastic. We could see that happening again. But look at this. We've got the tyre information just coming through here, folks. And it looks like... Oh, in fact, I'm on the wrong settings. I'm on the qualifying settings. Let me just switch over to the race. There we go. But yes, nonetheless, we've got the tyre information. And look at that. Hamilton is starting the race on the soft tyres. Ricciardo's starting the race on the softs. Everyone else in the top 10 is on the mediums. So we've got 2 soft runners as Hamilton's Ricciardo. And then K-Mag, Stroll, Bottas and Joe starting the race on the hards, and everyone else is on the medium tyres. All right. Here we go. This is going to be a very interesting race, folks. We've got 14,000 people tuned in already. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, folks. If you could hit the like button, if you could hit 2,000, 3,000 likes, that would be spectacular. The fans at Singapore are going absolutely wild. We are 1 minute away from the start of the formation lap. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and strap yourselves in because we are about to have a fantastic race here in Singapore. All right, I'm going to have a quick sip of water, otherwise my throat is going to start hurting, and well, I can't wait for this action. Yeah, look at this. We're just getting the team radio messages coming through. 90 seconds, 30 seconds or so, and the formation lap will be underway. Track temperature is 37 degrees, so those soft tyres for Lewis Hamilton, they are going to start struggling as soon as the lights go out. The first couple of laps, they'll be slightly under temperature, which will be fine. But after that, they are going to start overheating. But Hamilton is not slowing around. You know, I think someone asked in a donation message, are they going to do team orders at Mercedes and try to keep them holding position? They're definitely not doing that. Hamilton is trying to go for second place into turn number 1. He's trying to go into first place into turn number 7. Like, he is going all the way on these soft tires. And he's also going to try and pull off the undercut as well. It's going to be a long second stint for Hamilton, but if the safety car comes out, who knows what will happen. All right, all the engineers are moving off to the side of the grid, and the formation lap is about to begin. There we go. We were getting the team radio messages, 15 seconds, 10 seconds till the formation lap. Fantastic, folks. Absolutely fantastic. 17,000 people tuned in. That is wild. All right. Here we go then, folks. Here we go. We'll have the time. Well, the clock strikes 8 o'clock in Singapore. The floodlights are out. The moon is out. The sun has set, and Lando Norris leads the way on the formation lap. Max Verstappen starts weaving as well, and all of the drivers looking to get some temperature into those tyres, get the clutch settings into the correct positions, get the differentials into the correct window as well, and we shall be underway for some racing. The strategy is start the race on the medium tyres, then go 24 laps or so, and then pit onto the hards, or start the race on the softs, do 15 to 16 laps, and then pit onto the hard tyres and go to the end of the race. Alright, the fastest pit stop we have had all season long is 1.9 seconds from Red Bull, but with all of this strategy going on and with all of the undercuts going on, we're going to need very, very quick pit stops this weekend, and we could see the pit stops play a factor in who wins this race. Alright, here we go. Alright, everyone's left the grid, and everyone is underway for the formation lap. Lando Norris just entering sector number 2 as Guan Yu Zhou goes into turn number 1. And we're just having a look here. Sonoda's getting a team message saying the clutch target is still baseline +1 to +5. So yeah, all of the drivers there, their clutch settings, brakes, tire temperatures, that is what is on the driver's mind at this moment in time, and it will remain on their mind until the lights go out. We'll be seeing a couple of burnouts here and there as well. The drivers will be getting those rear tires up into temperature before they start the race. Okay, here we go then. We've got Lando Norris just making his way towards turn number 16 now. And yeah, look at these team radio messages to Daniel Ricciardo. The brakes are coming on well. Let's try and remove the tyre and not put energy. And so there we go. Burnout out of turn number 13 if you can. Cars going slowly. All of these things the drivers are fully aware of. They've done this startup procedure many, many times now, apart from Franco Colapinto, which is his 3rd time in Formula 1, but still is doing a fantastic job. And we'll see if he can, if he can beat Alex Albon in this race. Okie dokes, we have got all 20 drivers starting this race. We have had a 100% chance of a safety car since 2016 at the Singapore Grand Prix, and we haven't had a safety car in the previous 9 races in Formula 1. So I feel maybe that streak will be broken, and maybe we'll have a safety car as well this weekend. The drivers save 15 seconds in the pit lane if the safety car comes out and the drivers come into the pits. So that will really be very, very interesting for the strategy department to figure out. But here we go. All the drivers now approaching the grid, and while they're on the racing line, and they've done the burnouts. Max Verstappen is poised and ready to go. His car pointing ever so slightly in the right-hand side direction, looking to block off Lando Norris. Folks, the drivers with odd starting positions, so 1 and 3 and 5, they'll be starting on the right-hand side of the grid. The drivers with even positions, they'll be starting on the left-hand side of the grid. Verstappen has the inside, Norris has the outside. We've got the final 3 cars approaching the grid. Gasly slots into his grid position, so does Valtteri Bottas, and now Guan Yu Zhou comes into his position as well. All right, here we go then. Last car approaching the back of the grid. All of the lights are flashing. We have got the marshal walking across the back of the track, and the green flag is waving. The medical car is out there in the distance, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And we are racing here in Singapore. Lando Norris gets a great start. He covers off Max Verstappen, and Verstappen's under pressure from Hamilton going into turn number 1 side by side, and they're 4 wide at the back, but everyone managed to go through safely. And I think Alonso's had to go take the escape road, and so has one of the Williams. As they go through turn number 1, though, Lando Norris leads turn number 1. That is a great start for Norris. Verstappen had to do a whole lot of defending from Lewis Hamilton, but he manages to hold on to that second position. The top 4 stay in place. So Nico Hulkenberg's up into 5th position. Fantastic job. Piastri re-overtakes him into 5. Great dive down the inside. Is he going to be able to hold it towards turn number 6? Yes, he is. Very, very late on the brakes from Piastri, and he manages to re-overtake Nico Hulkenberg into turn number 5. And wow, okay. And who is that? Tsunoda's dropped 2 positions, and we've got Sainz dropping 2 positions as well. Not a great start for those 2 drivers. Perez up 3 places, a great race start, and he in fact gets an overtake done on Tsunoda as he goes into turn number 10. Fantastic job there. All right. Wow, it is so close for these drivers here. Lando Norris onto the brakes at turn number 14. We will have DRS enabled, but look at DRS will be enabled on the next lap. But look at the gap. It's 1.02 seconds. Norris is about to break DRS, and we haven't even finished lap number 1. And this has been the first time in 8 pole positions, Lando Norris, as he rounds out the final corner of turn number 1, he is leading this race. Lando Norris has finally broken the curse, and he leads the race going into lap number 2. Good job there. But now he's got to keep his eyes behind him, because Max Verstappen, he is within DRS range. Look at that, 0.9 seconds, and he's going to be chasing Lando Norris down. We're at a high downforce circuit. DRS makes a huge impact. 15 kilometers per hour, 17 kilometers per hour is the extra top speed boost that you get at Singapore. And Max Verstappen's, look at that, using DRS as he goes down towards turn number 5. Hamilton under pressure from his teammate. George Russell on the mediums is applying pressure on Lewis Hamilton, who's on the soft tyres. The soft tyres may not be the best race tyre, and it was a bit of a gamble from Mercedes' part, and they may even have to switch the drivers around. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I mean, Russell's going to be over the radio. I'll keep an eye out on the messages. But look at that. The first message that they've come over to Lewis Hamilton saying, let's not focus on chasing these guys down. Let's focus on management. We see this very often. The drivers, even on lap number 2, lap number 3 of this race, they immediately go into management mode. They start conserving the tyres, because you've got to last 62 laps of this circuit, and pitting at Singapore means you lose 30 seconds. Normally, at another race circuit like Monza or somewhere else, you'd only lose 20, but at Singapore, you lose 30. So, yeah, the drivers are, very cautious managing their tyres. And George Russell already looking to the inside of Lewis Hamilton. And we have a battle brewing here as they come down the main straight. And Hamilton is very close to Russell now. 7 tenths is the gap between the 2 teammates. And maybe we will have some team orders, I don't know. Or they come over to Hamilton saying, copy, he's pushing his traction metric, should both be managing. So apparently both drivers should be managing, but maybe George Russell's going against team orders saying, I want to overtake Lewis. I don't know. We'll wait and see. I mean, Hamilton has been struggling with traction quite a bit for an FP1 and FP2. All of the sessions, Hamilton was struggling with traction. So maybe George Russell will overtake him in the race soon enough. Right, Norris up in the lead though, and we have got Hamilton still under pressure from his teammate. Look at this, we've got a very big DRS train here from Colapinto all the way down to 20th position. So Colapinto's in 9th. In fact, nearly everyone's in the DRS train from 6th position onwards, from 6th position backwards, sorry. Look at that, everyone within 1 second of each other. The Singapore Grand Prix keeping everyone nice and tight and close to each other. Wow, we've got 28,000 people tuned into the live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. Hopefully we can hit 3,500 likes. And be sure to subscribe as well. We hit 100k last weekend. Maybe we can hit 105k this weekend. That would be brilliant. Oh, here we go. Russell over the radio. It begins, folks. It begins. He needs to increase the pace. The guys at the front are getting away. Here we go. The team radio drama is started already, and we're only on lap number 4 of this race. This is going to be a spectacular race, folks. Norris 2 seconds in the lead, and Verstappen is not looking to chase him down. Norris has got the quickest lap, and in fact, he's gained half a second on Verstappen on that previous lap. Did Verstappen make a mistake in any particular sector? Yeah, in the second and the third sector, especially the second sector, Verstappen lost 0.4 of a second. He must have made a mistake, or he's just deciding to back off a little bit. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but Verstappen may have already turned into conservation mode and is going to try and undercut Lando Norris when the pit stops roll around. Look at this enormous DRS train from 6th position onwards. You can just look at, on the left-hand side of the screen, the DRS, it all turns on for all of the drivers, and then it all turns off for all of the drivers, and then it slowly just moves down the pack. Yeah, maybe that's an effect of 4 DRS zones. Maybe 4 is one too many, but, you can only find out by trying it, so maybe, next year they'll change it. We'll wait and see. We're only on lap number 4. And Colapinto still in the top 10. Albon had a very bad race start, dropped from 11th down into 15th place. I didn't know what happened there. I think at turn number 1, he had to go wide and take the escape road. I think one of the Williams went wide. I can't tell. It was the Williams or the or one of the V-carbs, but I'm not 100% sure. And a lot of dust was kicked up in turn number 1. I think someone locked up as well. No, it was one of the Astons that had to go around, and I'm not sure which one of the other cars. So going into turn number 1, I've just got a replay here, and it's one of the Mercs. Russell locks up, and then the Aston and one of the Ferraris go around, and Albon says, Franco just dive bomb me. What is he doing? Oh, Colapinto, you can't just dive bomb your teammate on your 3rd Formula 1 race. What are you doing? I mean, he's purple in the first sector, so props to him. But yeah, you've just dive bombed your teammate on your 3rd Formula 1 race. It's not the best way to go about doing things, but yeah, Sainz losing positions he lost the position to Tsunoda and Colapinto. Sainz got caught out in the dive bomb as well, had to take avoiding action, and he lost a place he's lost a couple of places because of it. Elbows are out indeed for Franco Colapinto. The elbows were immediately out, which was a bit of a surprise. I wasn't really expecting him to start fighting with his teammate as well. I mean, if he was fighting with someone else, then fair enough. But with his teammate, bit of an interesting choice there. All right. Oh, look at that. I mean, they've already dropped off the back. Both Saubers, Bottas and Zhou, both of them have dropped off the back of the pack, and I don't know how good of it's going to be for Audi. They're going to step in 2025, but they're going to have the slowest car on the grid by a pretty significant chunk, and they're going to have a lot of work to do. I mean, they'll have fantastic engineers. Audi, of course, part of the Volkswagen and Audi group, and they own a lot of racing teams. They own Lamborghini, Porsche, and they'll have fantastic engineers, but it's going to be a tall and tough job to get those Saubers competing in the midfield and beyond. All right, but here we are, lap number 6 of 62, and the gap up at the front, 1.5 seconds. Max Verstappen with the fastest lap of the race. He goes marginally quicker. He goes 32 milliseconds quicker than Lando Norris through the first not through the first sector, through the entire lap, and I think he's just holding the same gap. He's just trying to keep that 1.5 second gap, because the problem is, if he goes any closer, his tyres are really going to start suffering, and it will compromise his race strategy in the long run, and well, that's just not going to work out well, is it? One interesting thing that I have just noticed here, the DRS train has been broken. So it's been broken from Ricciardo. Ricciardo's broken it from 15th to 16th. Bottas has broken it from 18th to 19th. And Piastri and Hulkenberg has broken it from Piastri. So now it's Hulkenberg to Albon. So the DRS train has got smaller. It's split up a little bit. It's from 6th to 15th rather than from 5th to 20th. All right. Oh, wow. 30,000 people tuning into Formula 1. That is fantastic, folks. Absolutely fantastic. And here they go. Alonso, as he goes towards turn number 13, he stays right on the back of Hulkenberg. In fact, look at that gap. It's getting bigger than a second. And all of the drivers will start feeling this pain now. As your tyres start getting older and older, sticking behind another driver ahead of you, really, the overheating is enormous. And the driver's going to have to be careful. Look at that fastest lap of the race from Lando Norris. And Max Verstappen cannot respond. The gap up to 1.9 seconds. Hamilton's soft tyres, they are going to start to crumble soon enough, and we shall see what they can do with that. They will obviously try to undercut Verstappen, and it will probably work as well. However, he's going to need a pit stop window. Let's see, if Hamilton pits now, where is he going to come out? Oh, no, that'll be fairly comfortable, actually. Hamilton will come out right at the back of the pack. He'll be 10 seconds off the back of Bottas. So it's, in fact, a good time for him to pit early, so he'll get clean air. Whereas, Norris is the only driver in the entire pack now that has got clean air. If Hamilton pits now, does an early pit stop, or pits in the next couple of laps or so, he'll have a whole bunch of clean air to manage his tyres and to also drive quickly. So maybe that's a good plan from Mercedes' part. And the issue between Hamilton and Russell, that has been resolved. Russell's tyres started to go off, and there's nothing that can happen. All right. If there are any consistent losses, Max, I would say it's turn 9 to turn 16. So that's the issue with Max Verstappen. Turn number 9, which is quite tricky because you've got to get a good exit out of there, but not too much wheel spin. And you're turning while you're accelerating, and that's a recipe for wheel spin, essentially. So Verstappen's got to be careful through turn number 9, and 16 and 17, of course, all of the drivers have been struggling. The rear of the car twitches a little bit. You lose 3-4 tenths, and, that's your lap ruined. All right, we look at the middle sector, purple middle sector from Lando Norris, and once again a fastest lap of the race, but this time Verstappen is able to match him within a tenth, and the gap is only 2 seconds. All right, fastest lap of the race once again from Norris. Alonso, he's on the back of Hulkenberg. He's got DRS, and Hulkenberg hasn't got DRS, but still, Alonso not that quick in a straight line, and not quick enough at least to get an overtake done. Okie dokes, what is up with Ferrari? Well, I don't know. This is the thing. It's a difficult circuit to overtake out. 4 DRS zones hasn't made it that much easier because now the trains of DRS are much, much bigger. Admittedly, it's been split up even more now. It's only Hulkenberg, Alonso, and Leclerc, and then you've got Perez, Tsunoda, Sainz, Ocon, K-Mag, and Albon. So it's been split up, and we should see some overtakes happening soon enough, actually, because Hulkenberg's pace is not going to keep going forever, and I think the Aston may be slightly quicker come race day. Okie dokes. There we go, another fastest middle sector for Lando Norris. He is really not giving it easy on his tyres. He's got to go to at least lap number 24, 25 before he comes into the pit. So he's got to be careful here. Otherwise, he can wear out his tyres too much, and Verstappen will start catching up at a rate of knots. F1 Gamer, would you like to see Pato Ward in F1? Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? He's a pretty good driver, I think, in IndyCar, isn't he? But that's the thing, there's only 20 seats in Formula 1, and who knows? Alright, so essentially what they're trying to do... Oh, they've come over the radius of Norris. They've given some juicy information here. What they're trying to do is get the gap to Max Verstappen up to 5 seconds by the mid-teens. So we're on lap number 9. So in the mid-teens, that means lap number 16, 17, 15... All of that, by that point, they want a 5-second gap to Max Verstappen. So whatever strategy McLaren are cooking, it requires a 5-second gap. And I don't think Verstappen's going to give that to them. I think Verstappen is going to continue picking up the pace, and that gap is going to stay within 3 seconds. Albon is a tenth quicker than K-Mag, and on that previous lap, so he should get an overtake done, actually. Albon looking very, very racy. After getting screwed over by his teammate at the opening lap of the race, he's looking to make up some places. And Magnussen, of course, he's on the hards. Albon on the mediums. It should be good overtake. Should be an easy overtake for Alex Albon. Honestly, F1 has become way too boring. 7 laps in and no overpassing and need to take care of the tyres. All these new rules messed up the beauty. What's your take? Well, I wouldn't complain too much. I think the previous half of the season that we've had has been so spectacular in terms of the amount of racing that we've had. We can go. I think, we've had 9 laps and we haven't had that much overtaking. I think fair enough. You can have 9 laps of a bit of boredom and then we'll see what happens in the second stint of the race. I think it's a little bit too early to say F1's too boring, considering the previous 10 races have been fantastic. Ooh, Lando Norris is continuing to pick up the pace. Verstappen isn't able to compete. I said the gap would stay within 3, but it's not. The gap's up to 4 seconds, and Verstappen is getting dropped by Lando Norris. Now, admittedly, the McLaren may be a quicker car. Verstappen, there's not much more that he can do, and that's the way things go. And the championship gap may reduce this race. Only time will tell. Look at that, already up to 4.2 seconds. Leclerc is really starting to push here. Purple in the first sector. He's bit frustrated, the fact that he's stuck behind Fernando Alonso, who's stuck behind Nico Hülkenberg. It's kind of ruining his race. I mean, his race was kind of already ruined when he had a bad quali, but I don't know. They've come over to Piastri to say Plan B. I don't know what Plan B means for McLaren, but they've gone to Plan B. Whatever Plan A was clearly isn't working for them. So Plan B might be an undercut. It might be. We'll have to keep an eye out on Piastri's lap times. Look at that. He's got yellow in the first sector. We'll see if he goes yellow again. That might mean they're going undercuts. That might mean they're going overcuts. Sorry, we've seen this in the past. McLaren have done the overcuts successfully. However, track position is king at Singapore. Even with 4 DRS zones, we've seen here it's difficult to overtake, and track position is indeed king. And I think the undercut might be the best way forward in that case. Perez trying to overtake Colapinto. He's really pushing Colapinto all the way. And the Williams is quick in a straight line. The gap is only 20 meters between the two drivers as they come on to the start-finish straight. Here comes Sergio Perez. He's got the DRS up wide open. He's gaining on Colapinto. And but yeah, we'll see if he can get an overtake done into turn number 5. He's going to have to force a mistake nonetheless. They come over the radio to Charles Leclerc saying the tyres on K-Mag are looking a lot worse than the medium competitors, which I don't know what that means, but I think that means the hard tyres are pretty slow. Pirelli told us that. Pirelli said that the hard tyres were going to be 6/10, 7/10 slower per lap than the mediums. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. Ooh, we've had a driver into the pits. Ricciardo's come into the pits. A 3.5 second stop for him, and he comes out on a set of medium tyres. He started the race on the softs, and now he's out on the mediums. This is going to be a very long race for Daniel Ricciardo if he's going to go to the end of the race on those mediums. Maybe they're hoping for a safety car. Only time will tell. Lewis Hamilton, though, he is really pushing that Mercedes. His soft tyres will also start to come to the end of their life. Pirelli said he could do 15 laps on them. Hamilton's already done 12. So we shall see when Hamilton comes into the pits. Look at that gap, 5.5 seconds. This is fantastic. All right. Fantastic job here from Ricciardo so far. Oh, they've said Perez and Colapinto are fighting. It's time to pick up the pace to Tsunoda, and Tsunoda's just had too much information. I think Tsunoda can kind of tell. So they're only 2 seconds up the road compared to Tsunoda. So Tsunoda should be able to see that Perez and Colapinto are fighting, and we'll keep an eye out. But Colapinto is still doing a pretty good job defending against Perez here, not succumbing to the pressure, not making an easy mistake around Singapore, which is a tough task. We've seen this in the past. George Russell was going on to get a podium last year, but straight into the barriers he went after making the slightest of mistakes. So Colapinto doing a good job so far, and another fastest lap of the race for Lando Norris. I mean, Lando Norris is just giving out fastest laps like there's no tomorrow, and at some point his tyres have got to give out, surely. We shall wait and see. But look at that, 6.2 seconds. It is Albon into the pits as well. I mean, it might be a bit early, but I guess they're just preparing for sort of undercuts and stuff. And look at that. I mean, Albon is going to have enormous amounts of clean air. So why not? Send him out, and he's going to be on those hard tyres. We've seen Albon do enormously long stints on hard tyres. He's got 51 laps to manage around this circuit. You know, you tell Alex Albon you'll end up in the points as long as you manage this stint, and Albon's going to do it, and he will deliver. And given clean air as well, it'll be a lot easier for him. So maybe that's what Williams are going for. They, you know, come into the pits early and just stay out on those hard tyres. Even if the safety car comes out, just defend, because it's very easy to defend around here in Singapore. You place your car on the inside line and it's very difficult to overtake around the outside. K-Mag reports to his engineer saying, I'm sliding around like hell, and those hard tyres aren't working too well. You know, there's a proper warm-up procedure for the hard tyres. You warm up the core, you warm up the outside, and then they're good to go. But K-Mag suffering from a couple of issues, and he's in fact 3 seconds off the back of Ocon. Look at the gap up at the front, 7.3 seconds. Lando Norris is pushing so hard. I don't know what they're doing here, and they may be shooting themselves in the foot here with Lando Norris, because Norris has now built a 7-second gap to Max Verstappen. So that means if he comes into the pits now, where is he going to come out? He's going to come out behind Pierre Gasly. He's going to come out in traffic, and traffic at Singapore is a very big issue. And you know, it's kind of counterintuitive that you're building the gap to your rival, and you're getting more and more ahead of them, but it may be compromising you in the long run, because eventually when you do come into the pits, you're going to be surrounded by traffic. So we shall see what Lando Norris can do, but he's still building that gap. I started this point at 7.2 seconds. It's now 7.7 seconds, and he's not slowing down. He's not slowing down whatsoever. Max has got clean air as well, so I expect Max is managing his tyres. He's doing 137s, Lando Norris is doing 136s. In fact, Norris is the only driver who is doing 136s, which kind of indicates to me that he isn't managing his tyres as much as everyone else is. So, I don't know what's going to happen. F1 Gamer just joined right now. Anything significant happened so far? Well, Norris maintained his lead off pole position. That's pretty significant, I guess. And apart from that, we've had a couple of drivers come into the pits, but no big issues. Sainz and Tsunoda got a bad race start. Albon got a pretty bad race start, got dive bombed by his teammate. But Sainz into the pits. Early into the pits on the medium tyres as well. He only did 12 laps on the mediums. Pirelli said he could do 25 and you'd be fine. But Carlos Sainz coming in halfway through his medium stint, and he's going for a bit of a long run. All right, what tyres is it going to be? It's the hard tyres for Carlos Sainz. 2.6 second pit stop from the Ferrari boys, and he comes back out onto the track very slowly. All right. Oh wow, we've gone past our like target. Let me increase that to 5,000 likes. Thank you everyone for hitting the like button, by the way. We've got 35,000 people tuning into live stream. That is spectacular, folks. Hope you guys are enjoying. And Albon, it was so tight. Albon was about to go around the outside of Carlos Sainz, but both, teammates that are going to be they're going to be teammates next year, and they may have a bit of a battle brewing now. Carlos Sainz can he defend against Albon going into turn number 5? Yes, he can. All right. A good defense there from Carlos Sainz, and I said this at the start of the race. The pit stops are going to be enormously critical, especially at Singapore. And if that pit stop was half a second slower, then Sainz would have lost the position to Albon, and his race would have been practically over. So, yeah, it was very critical that it was a 2.6 second pit stop, not a 3.0 second pit stop. And wow. Look at that lead up at the front, 9 seconds. I mean, Lando Norris domination could bore fans. I think it's safe to say that could happen. Given the 9-second gap, I mean, this is exactly like what Max would do last year. He would, get the lead of the race. Well, he would get pole position. He would keep the lead of the race, and then would see him in the first lap of the race, and after that, would only see him when he comes into the pits and then when he crosses the line, because he is just so far ahead. What is going on there for Lando Norris? Some very good laps though, and look at that, Carlos Sainz. He's purple in the middle sector. He's maybe trying to ensure that he doesn't get undercut. Sainz is probably trying to pull off the undercut on the drivers ahead of him, and also he's going to lap around pretty quickly, and we'll get a feel for how hard Lando Norris is pushing. Of course, Sainz is on the hards, which is around 6-7 tenths slower, but we can get an accurate look at how hard Lando Norris is pushing. His pace is still in the 136s, not Verstappen's is in the 137s. Everyone else behind him is in the 138s. So Piastri is doing a 1:37, and everyone else though 1:38s, 1:39s. So yeah, Norris going 2 seconds a lap quicker than the competition. Surely his tires have got to start wearing out at some point. Surely, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, traffic is going to be messy. He's enlarging the gap up at the front, but when he comes into the pits, it's gonna get messy unless he waits till everyone else behind him comes into the pits and then he comes into the pits. The issue with that is that he's gonna have to wait for quite a while for everyone behind him to come into the pits, and his tires seem to be wearing out pretty quickly. So we'll see what the McLaren team can do, but it's pretty difficult. Albon is gone full tyre conservation mode here. He's really not attacking. Is he going slowly or what? I don't know. He's crawling around. Let's have a look at his sector times. All right, Perez come over the radio saying he's very good, difficult to pass Colapinto. Of course, both guys are pretty good friends, Colapinto and Perez. So yeah, Perez having a tough time overtaking his friend, and he's saying that he's very good, which is a good thing. I don't know what's happening with Albon. Let's have a look at his middle sector. He's 11 seconds slower in the middle sector. Is that an issue for Alex Albon? He was going very, very slowly. I thought that was just tyre conservation, but does he pull into the pits? I mean, he's about to get lapped by Lando Norris, which must mean it's an issue. All right, into the pits he goes. Is that out of the race for Alex Albon? I mean, come on, Albon. You could have parked, if you were going to have an engine issue, you could have parked up in the escape road and given us a safety car. But no, you had to drive it back to the pits. I mean, come on. Alex, I expected better. No, I think he's got some sort of issues, and he's in the pits. Once I get a replay, I'll let you know if he's officially retired or not. All right. Look at this. Alonso still stuck behind Hulkenberg from lap number 1 to lap number 17. Hulkenberg has been managing to hold off Alonso. Alonso's had DRS, all 4 DRS zones to his advantage, but still not been able to overtake. Oh, look at this. We've got the message to Lewis Hamilton. It says, Lewis, if you've got any pace left, we should start to use it. And then they've just told George Russell, Lewis has been asked to use his pace now. So what they're doing is wearing out their tyres as soon as they can. Hamilton, he'll be wearing his tyres all the way out, all the way to the core, and then he's going to come into the pits and get them replaced. So George Russell will be starting to attack as well, and we'll keep an eye out on Lewis Hamilton's lap times. But the previous lap of 1:39.0 must have made a mistake or something, but those soft tyres aren't holding up too well. Right, wow, 36,000 people tuned into the live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in, folks. Hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. It enormously helps out the channel. And I'm just going to read out all of my Patreon members just to give them a shout out. Right. Let's see. Stefan, Tomaha46, The Code Monster, Matt, Andrew Eastwood, Andrew N, Shush, Exoteric, Tragic Fun, Alfie, AJ, OG London Girl, and I'm forgetting a couple of people that subscribed today and yesterday. But then of course we've got all our moderators, Kiers, MCG, Multi Ninja, OG Ninja, all of the folks in the chat. Thank you so much, and all of my moderators as well. Very much do appreciate all of the help, financially helping out the channel. Of course, I'm blocking adverts for you guys, all 36,000 of you. I've blocked all adverts. Oh, we've got Hamilton into the pits. Okay, Hamilton finally into the pits now. 2.5 second stop for him, and he's going to come out in a bit of traffic. But yeah, folks, I've blocked all adverts for the YouTube live stream, so you guys don't get any adverts. But of course, if you do want to help out the channel financially, there are YouTube donations. There are a couple of links in the description for the Patreon or buy me a coffee. Yeah, definitely helps out the channel. And yeah, because of you guys, I've got a professional commentary mic and stuff like that, so very much is appreciated. So let's get back to this race. Hamilton, first driver from the top to come into the pits. He's done 18-19 laps on his soft tyres, out onto the hard tyres, and he can definitely do 45 laps to the end of this race. And also, folks, I would like to confirm Alex Albon, he is retired. He is out of this race. Unfortunate indeed, unfortunate. But I mean, you could have caused a safety car, Alex. Like, come on. If you were going to retire from the race anyway, come on, you could cause a safety car. All right, Piastri, he is ninth. Oh, look at that. Piastri's getting so close to overtaking Russell now. Russell, he's been set free. He's got a bit of clean air ahead of him, but Piastri is attacking now. All right, Leclerc, they've just come over the radio to Leclerc saying, good job on the brakes. The brakes is a significant issue, especially for Charles Leclerc. He's got the dirty air of Hulkenberg and Alonso ahead of him. And Leclerc's been managing the brakes. But he says over the radio that they react totally differently now, which I don't know exactly what that means. I guess he just hasn't described it enough, but... yeah, I mean, Leclerc's still managing. He's only 1.5 seconds back from Alonso. We'll see what Piastri can do as he chases down George Russell. Oh, we've got Waters. Thank you for joining the YouTube subscription. And also, folks, I'll send you a link to all of the YouTube members and the Patreon members. I'll send you a link to the Discord at the end of the Grand Prix. I didn't manage to find time to do it yesterday. But yeah, also if you could follow me on Instagram, F1_gamer_5, feel free to DM me. I think when we had 17,000 people watching yesterday, we had seven people DM'd me, so now we got 37,000 people. Feel free to DM me if you've got any feedback, if you're just loving the channel, or any suggestions, then yeah, feel free. F1_gamer_5. All right, but we're now approaching the pit stop window. Look at that. The top 11 drivers, they're all on medium tyres. We're approaching the pit stop window for the mediums, and we're going to see if, we're going to see who's going to come into the pits, who's going to try and undercut who. But look at that gap, 13 seconds for Lando Norris. Even if the safety car comes out, if Norris comes into the pits, the safety car comes out, and Verstappen comes into the pits, Norris will still maintain the race lead. That is how big of a gap Norris has got. Enormous. Oh, Exoteric gifted 5 F1 Gamer subscriptions. Wow, thank you so much, Exoteric. You've been sticking around from the channel for quite a while now, and really do appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very, very much. And yeah, anyone in the chat gets randomly donated a membership. So if you have, then good luck. I mean, not good luck. I mean, congrats. All right, we're getting pretty close to 5,000 likes. Let's see if we can do that. And we're getting pretty close to 105,000 subscribers. What's that? 1,700 away. Given we've got 37,000 people watching, I'm sure we can make that happen. All right, James Vowles is going to replace Albon with Colapinto the first chance he gets. I don't think so. Albon is struggling this weekend. I mean, he got dive bombed by his teammate and then had to retire from the race. But Colapinto is Colapinto is pretty quick as well. I don't know. It depends, because at Williams they will need at least one driver that is like experienced, and yeah, essentially they'll need one experienced driver who's had a couple of years in Formula One. Colapinto has not had that, so next year they'll have Albon and Sainz, both drivers who are very, very experienced and very good. And I think if Sainz leaves and then they also get rid of Albon and replace it with Colapinto and 2 rookies, it's probably not the best way to go forward. But yeah. All right, let's see. Back up at the front, Fernando Alonso still stuck behind Hulkenberg. Oh my God, Hulkenberg in 5th position, doing a fantastic job, folks. If there is 2 crashes ahead of Nico Hulkenberg, 2 drivers take themselves out, i.e. George Russell and Oscar Piastri, like what happened in last weekend's race, then we could see Nico Hulkenberg score a podium, which would be amazing. He's been in Formula One so long without a podium. That'd be fantastic if he could do that. All right, we've reached our like target. I guess we go up straight to 8,000. I guess, why not? We've got so many people watching. I'm sure we could hit all of the targets. Right, Hamilton comes over the radio saying that he's clipped the wall on the entry into the pits when he came into the pits. So he's asked them to check the data to make sure that everything's working all right. Leclerc is going backwards rather than of Alonso. Yeah, I mean, Leclerc's once again back in DRS range of Alonso, but he's still he's still unable to get an overtake done. What are they saying over the radio to Lando Norris? Ah, okay, so they're trying to not have Lando Norris to pit, because if Norris does come into the pits, he does come out with a bit of traffic. In fact, look at that gap, it's enormous. If he comes into the pits now, he'll come out just behind Piastri. Okay. So this is interesting here. We'll see what Piastri can do. We'll see what Norris can do actually. Where he comes out to the pits. They said box opposite to the Aston Martin to Charles Leclerc. So if Alonso comes into the pits, then Leclerc stays out. If Alonso doesn't come into the pits, then Leclerc will go into the pits. That's what they've just come over the radio to Charles Leclerc. So we'll see what Leclerc does, if he listens to Ferrari, or if he just does his own thing. We've got a replay of Hamilton. Yeah, Hamilton touched the wall as he entered the pits. But I think it's fine because he did that on his old set of soft tyres, which he just took off and put on a set of hards. So there's no sort of puncture issue for Hamilton there. How did Norris go 16 seconds? I mean, Norris has just been destroying his tyres. I don't know how he's managed to do 21 laps. I would have expected, if he's pushed this hard to just, pit after lap number 15. But he's still pushing harder and harder. His lap times have finally bubbled into the 137s. He was in the 136s for so long. He's finally now into the 137s, but his pace is still strong. He's still a second a lap quicker than Max Verstappen, which is enormous. However, anything can change at a moment's notice. At this circuit, you've got Alonso versus Hülkenberg. If they make even the slightest mistake, both of them into the barriers, the safety car's out. Even Lando Norris could hit the barriers. He's been pushing quite hard. And if the rear snaps out, or if he turns in a little bit too early and clips the inside, then that's game over. We've seen this happen with Russell. He was going for a podium last year, and yeah, lost out big time. Okay, look at that gap, 17 seconds, enormous. Alright, they've come over the radio to Hamilton saying we're one of the earlier one-stoppers, and Hamilton's saying that he's in trouble. He's going to be in trouble at the end of this race. At this moment in time, Hamilton's fine. He's just making his way through the traffic, but he's going to be in trouble by the end of this race because he's been driving through traffic a little bit, which is not nice to his tyres, and also his tyre, and he's just been pushing a little bit, not in clean air, whereas everyone else has got clean air. Look at that. Russell's got clean air, Verstappen's got clean air, Norris has got clean air, Sainz has got clean air as well. It's only Piastri and Leclerc that are struggling in dirty air, but everyone else has got clean air, and Hamilton is going to pay that price. I mean, it was the problem. The problem was that they did a strategy gamble at the start of the race. They started on the softs. That probably wasn't the best way forward. But hindsight is always 20/20. All right, they've come over to Leclerc saying, oh, this is so frustrating. Well, Leclerc's come over the radio saying, oh, this is so frustrating. How many laps are we going to do? And they've just said, keep calm. They didn't even give him an answer. He asked, how many laps are you going to do? And they just said, keep calm. I mean, this is just classic Ferrari, isn't it? We are looking into it. We're looking into how many laps we should do on the tyres. That's probably what they're going to say. What lap should you pit on the mediums? Pirelli said that you should pit on lap number 24, 25. So we are approaching that time, but everyone seems to not be pitting. Everyone seems to just be going out strong. And it's because everyone's managed these tyres so hard. Yeah, for a certified Ferrari moment, that's the best way to put it. Just keep calm. Right. Alonso still. I mean, look at this. This must be a record. 24 seconds, 24 laps, and he's still within DRS range of Hülkenberg. Wow. I mean, Alonso's tyres must be gone, given the fact that he's been stuck in dirty air for so long now, and Hülkenberg as well. He's lapping consistently. You've got to give him props. He's dragging that Haas up into 5th position. Alonso's dragging the Aston Martin up into 6th position. They definitely don't deserve to be there. I mean, Perez, have a look at Perez. I haven't talked about him in a while, but he's been stuck behind Colapinto, unable to overtake, so he's just dropped back now, and he's gone into tyre conservation mode. All of the drivers now, we see this very often at Singapore, we see it very often at Monaco, where track position is king. The drivers just go into tyre conservation mode in the hopes that the strategy will fix their race position rather than some overtakes. If we have a look at Max Verstappen's tyres, they aren't looking in the best shape, but we don't know what Lando Norris's tyres are looking like either. So, in fact, we've just got a replay here of Norris's tyres, and how are Norris's tyres looking better? Norris's tyres are looking better than Verstappen's. Maybe it's just, the reflections at that point of the circuit, but Norris's tyres are looking better than Verstappen's, and he's also got a 20-second lead. I mean, McLaren have seriously cooked, and their tyres are, well, yeah, their car is looking fantastic. The gap is just getting bigger and bigger, yeah. If there's a safety car, Lando's advantage is gone and Max will have better tyres. Yeah, well, I mean, if they have a safety car, then both drivers will probably come into the pits. Yeah, wow. I don't know how Norris has done that. He's still, he's pushing on. His tyres look like they're new. And, wow, Piastri, he is stuck behind Russell. But, you can kind of tell here, Verstappen is squeezing absolutely everything that he possibly can out of that Red Bull. All of the tyres, all of the grip that he can extract. He's pushing the car all the way to the limit, whereas it looks like Norris isn't even pushing too hard. Yeah. Could you show the DRS zones again, please? Yeah, sure. Let me just... here we go. The DRS zones, one going down the main straight here. Then you've got another one down this back straight where Colapinto and Leclerc are. Then you've got another one through here, turn number 13 to 14. And then you have another DRS zone between turn number 14 and 16 where Norris is. So yeah, 4 DRS zones at this circuit, but still not that much overtaking. Lando Norris is really cooking, some real good domination from him. Admittedly, he hasn't had much of a threat to that domination. No one's really tried to overtake him, but that's just because he's been so damn quick. Look at that pace, still in the 137s, nobody, look at those lap times, right? If you look at the last lap column, it's the 6th column along, 7th column along, and Lando Norris is the only driver in the 137s. Everyone else, 138s, 139s, 140s, serious pace. The drivers that the amount of time that you lose in the pits, you lose 28.5 seconds plus however long your pit stop is. So normally that will just add up to 30 seconds that you lose in the pits. So if Norris comes out now, he'll come out 2 seconds ahead of George Russell if he gets a quick pit stop, which is mind-blowing. Norris, in the lead of this race, he pits and he comes out in 3rd place. Well, no, he won't even come out in 3rd place. He'll come out in 2nd place. He'll only lose the position to Max. Yeah, I think we definitely do need a safety car here. That will spice things up. Alonso finally dives into the pits after wrecking those medium tyres, being stuck behind K-Mag, finally into the pits now, and we're going to see if he can pull off an undercut. Okay, so now we've got to keep an eye out on Nico Hülkenberg's lap times. He was doing a 1:39 on the previous lap. Now he's been told over the radio, Alonso's boxed, and he's going to have to start to push. And we'll keep an eye out on the sector times for Fernando Alonso when he comes out of the pits as well. All right, lap number 26 of 62. We are more than 1/3 of the way through this Grand Prix, and Lando Norris has got a 20-second lead. Wow. Sonoda's blocking Lewis. Yes, Sonoda hasn't made it easy for Lewis to get past. I mean, Sonoda is on mediums, Lewis is on hards, so it's going to be... Hamilton tried to overtake Tsunoda, but he braked far, far too late and then made a bit of a hash of it. So as he was going towards turn number 16, something definitely is wrong with the car, mate. The tyres are dropping off. That's what he said over the radio. I don't know if that was just a mistake. Oh no, they've just come over the radio to Hamilton saying that's all surface driven. So there are two different elements of the tyre. There's the inner tyre, right, the core of the tyre, and then there's the surface of the tyre. So if the surface of the tyre is even 10 degrees too hot, your braking performance, your traction all goes out the window. And the drivers have to be super careful of that. And I think Hamilton just did have overheating tyres when he went into that braking zone. And because of that, he outbraked himself and Tsunoda retook the position. All right. Max is complaining on the tyres. I mean, is that anything new? Is Max complaining about the tyres anything new? I don't think so. But Norris isn't complaining about the tyres, which is a bit surprising. What are they doing here? How are they managing to pull out so much pace? And how is Norris this much quicker than Piastri? I mean, Piastri's stuck behind Russell, which kind of explains that. They've come over the radio to Verstappen. Verstappen saying rear tyres are quite bad now, and they're saying it shouldn't be too long. So Verstappen should be coming into the pits soon enough. Right, interesting. I mean, the undercut is really not going to work for Verstappen. He's not going to be able to undercut 22 seconds. But the hard tyre is not looking like the best race tyre, which is interesting. Normally, the mediums and the hards are the best race tyre. But this weekend, K-Mag was having issues with the hards, and Hamilton's now having issues with the hards. It's not looking all that quick, the hard tyres. Track temperature's 35 degrees. You know, it's not too cold, it's not too hot, so the hard tyres should be doing fine. But a little bit of unexplainable performance loss for those hard tyres. Piastri still stuck behind Russell, unable to get an overtake done. We got a replay here of Carlos Sainz. He's overtaken K-Mag. Nicely done from Carlos Sainz. And Hulkenberg still going strong. Look at those lap times from Hulkenberg. So a 1:39.5. Alonso's just come out of the pits now. And what are his sector times looking like? Oh no, he hasn't completed a full lap yet. He's done a 1:58 on his out lap. We'll see what his in lap's like. Russell finally into the pits. Piastri has been unleashed, and we'll see if his pace can match Lando Norris. Both drivers have the same tyres. Of course, Norris does have the clean air. Piastri doesn't. Well, Piastri didn't have the clean air, and we'll see if they can match lap times. All right. Yeah, Hulkenberg up into 4th position. The pit stop window is open, folks. The pit stop window is open, but quite a few of the medium tyre runners still haven't come into the pits yet. They're all hanging out, hoping for a safety car maybe. Do you think Norris should pit onto the mediums then to the soft? That is a potential strategy. They could try that. It will be risky. Hamilton, though, did do 19 laps on the softs, so that's a good benchmark to go over, and we could actually see that happen. That's actually a pretty good idea. All right, yeah, they've just come over the radio to Piastri saying, okay, mate, this is the race, let's go. So Piastri, look at that, green first sector. There we go, Piastri is attacking. So here comes Charles Leclerc now. Leclerc has been given the opportunity to overtake Hulkenberg. Sainz did get the overtake done on K-Mag. In fact, Alonso's just got the overtake done on K-Mag as well. Nicely done from Fernando Alonso. So both Ferrari, well, one of the Ferraris has overtaken the Haas car. Now let's see if the other Ferrari can overtake the other Haas car. Yeah, here comes Charles Leclerc going towards turn number 16. Is he going to have a look to the inside? He is right on the back. He dives to the inside, and can he get the overtake done? Yes, he can. He's late on the brakes, stays within the circuit, and that's an overtake done on Nico Hulkenberg. He was stuck behind Alonso for so long. Alonso was just quick enough to keep ahead of Leclerc, but he was just slow enough to not get ahead of Hulkenberg, and because of that, Leclerc's race has been severely compromised. Look at that. The gap between himself and Piastri, 18 seconds. Absolutely enormous. Finally, Leclerc has got that overtake done. Sergio Perez comes into the pits after 28 laps on those medium tyres. A super quick pit stop from the Red Bull pit crew, and he's out on a fresh set of hard tyres. All right. Very nice. Oh, wow, folks, we got 42,000 people tuned into live stream. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Folks, if you haven't hit the like button, if you haven't subscribed, please be sure to do so. It massively helps out the channel. And also, one other thing, because I am sponsored by F1 TV, if you guys do want to get F1 TV and, you know, watch all of the live coverage with all of the onboards and the team radios and the professional commentators and stuff like that, then there's a link in the description. I get a commission off that. It helps out the channel. Well, yeah, you guys get F1 TV Pro. So go ahead and check that out. All right, Lando pushed too hard. I don't know. I mean, Verstappen's into the pits now. We are at the halfway point of this race, or very close to the halfway point of the race. Lando clipped the wall, front wing damage. Has he got front wing damage? I did not see the replay. Let me just have a check. Was that a slow pit stop for Verstappen? Yeah, 3.0 seconds. Not that slow in total. But has he been pushing too hard? All right, let's see. Let me get a replay here just to confirm before before I say anything. Hulkenberg also coming into the pits, I think, on this lap. Yeah, Hulkenberg's into the pits. Colapinto's into the pits. All right, finally all of the drivers coming to the pits. Verstappen, does he manage to get out ahead of Leclerc? No, he doesn't. Oh my God, that was so close. And if that pit stop had been 2.5 seconds, Verstappen would have been ahead. But the Red Bull pit crew made a very slight mistake, and it's very unlike them. And Leclerc could hold up Verstappen for the remainder of this race. Verstappen has got one opportunity to do this, going down into turn number 5. Oh, he can't get the overtake done. Leclerc used his overtake mode, and Verstappen may be stuck behind Leclerc. Oh, no, no, no. This has not worked out well for Verstappen. The pit stop, it seemed kind of slow. It wasn't the normal 2.2 seconds that you do get from the Red Bull crew, and that has made an enormous impact. Norris into the pits, and has he damaged his front wing? I can't tell. No, his front wing looks to be fine. Yeah, his front wing looks to be fine. It does not look like they're replacing the front wing. Yeah, everything seems fine. He comes into the pits, puts on a set of hard tyres, and he's straight back out. No front wing replacement. The front wing, the front wing is all right. So I don't know. This is why I don't always trust chat. Sometimes there's one person that says something dodgy, and then two other people believe it, and then four other people believe it, and then suddenly everyone's saying that Norris has got a damaged front wing. But clearly he didn't have a damaged front wing. All right. Norris comes out of the pits, and he is still in the lead of this race. He's 3 seconds ahead of his teammate. Verstappen manages to get ahead of Leclerc. A great job from Verstappen. Admittedly, he was compromised slightly by his team, but he's managed to make up for it, and he's up into fourth place. Wow, 44,000 people tuned into the live stream, folks. That is spectacular. If you want to type in the chat, by the way, and you can't, you have to subscribe. Yeah. Oh, did Norris say damaged wing on the radio? Okay. Well, I think he may have thought it was a damaged wing. But of course, no, it wasn't damaged. And it was fine. And sometimes, also, folks, sometimes the radios are incorrect. Sometimes they say front wing angle, like Norris might have said, we wanted to tweak the front wing angle, but because it's transcribed by AI, it's not always perfect. So yeah, just a word of caution for future times. Verstappen immediately as he came out of the pit says, why did we let ourselves get undercut so far? But yeah, no, Verstappen wasn't having any of it, and by the next DRS zone, he had got right past Charles Leclerc, just dived down the inside, and Leclerc was like, well, I know this is what Max is going to do. I know I can't hold him back forever, so I might as well just let him past and keep the clean air. And look at that purple first sector from Max Verstappen. He's pushing, but he's going to have to close a 20-second gap to Lando Norris. A 20-second gap, which is, wow. Piastri still hasn't pit yet. Piastri could try and do a medium to soft tyre. Oh, they've come over the radio now to Norris. Okay, so Norris they said, we see a small issue with the front wing. I don't know what that means. I don't know how you can have a small issue with the front wing. It's not like it's a mechanical component. But the engineers on the pit wall, they're looking at the data, and they're pointing at something. But maybe they're, looking at slightly lower downforce numbers on the front wing. Something's happened to the front wing. It's not damaged by any means, and Lando Norris's pace is clearly indicating that it is not damaged. However, the engineers have come over the radios to say that there is slight damage and they're seeing something in the data. That could just be a damaged sensor for all we know. If Norris tapped the wall, a sensor could have flew off in the wrong direction and the sensor's reading the wrong thing, and that could explain it. So we'll wait and see. We've got the replay here. Norris, he locked up and he just tapped the barrier as he went on lap number 29. Norris locked up, just tapped the barrier, skimmed the barrier ever so slightly. But yeah, his front wing seems to be doing all right for now. All right, let's have a look at these lap times then. Max Verstappen a 1:36.6. He is he's a man on a mission. Indeed, he is 2-3 seconds quicker than everyone else around him, and Lando Norris a 1:37.0. So on that previous lap, Verstappen gains 0.3 of a second. All right, George also, I need a bit of encouragement, mate. Yeah, A-firm traction metrics, and then they talk about some other things, but I don't think that's the encouragement that he was wanting. Everything looks really good at the moment. That's all they say. I don't know what is this new traction metric thing that the Mercedes engineers are talking about. I think it might just kind of be like a points thing on their steering wheel, that after the exit of every corner, they get a kind of score saying how good is your traction and are you not wheel spinning. All right. They've come over to Leclerc saying these laps are crucial. Keep driving like this, which is well, interesting. But Leclerc's laps 138.5. He's got to pick up the pace if these are crucial laps. He's under pressure from George Russell, and well, I don't know. Leclerc has it come into the pits. Russell's on fresh tyres. We could probably see an overtake happen here. However, what I was saying, both Piastri and Leclerc, they've done 32 laps on the mediums. We have approached and gone past the halfway point of this race. And if they can pull out maybe 5-6 more laps on these medium tyres, then they could go to the end on a set of softs. Of course, at the end of the race, the car is ever so slightly lighter because you have fresh sets of, the fuel has burnt off the car. So, you at the start of the race, you have 100 kilos of fuel. That's dipped down to 60, maybe 40, 30 kilos of fuel. And the car's lighter. There's and yeah, the drivers are just in a little bit more of a rhythm, and the drivers could extend the soft tyres all the way to the end of the race, which would be an interesting way to go about the strategy. I think that could be plan B, because we heard at the start of the race they were going for plan B on Oscar Piastri. So plan A could have been go on the mediums, then go on to the hards. Plan B could be go on the mediums and then go on to the softs. Your thoughts on the Max interview? Honestly, the Max interview was a joke. I don't see you. I mean, it always backfires. The FIA, they try to do something stupid, and then the driver's like, we're not having any of it. They were telling Lewis that you're not allowed to wear jewelry in interviews and stuff like that. And then Lewis came into the next interview with 4 watches on his hands and about 7 necklaces and, piercings and earrings and whatever. And the FIA just, and then they rolled back on their decision. And then, in the same way, the FIA, what they did was they said that the drivers have to wear their full race suits. They're not allowed to unbutton their race suits once the race is finished when they're answering interview questions, because I think Seb Vettel had Love is Love or something like that. With like the rainbow flag on his underneath his race suit, and obviously the FIA didn't like that, so they were like, "Oh no, you've got to wear your race suits." Vettel, I think, did something, and the FIA rolled back on that, and now Verstappen is not answering interview questions, and the FIA will inevitably roll back on saying that you're not allowed to swear. I mean, it's stupid. They're racing in Saudi Arabia where they have no civil rights, and they're advertising gambling and crypto. And the drivers are drinking alcohol on the podium. The drivers are nearly dying when they crash into barriers and stuff. But no, you can't swear over the radio. I mean, it's stupid. All right, Russell's stuck behind Leclerc here. Leclerc doing a good job defending. He knew that he couldn't keep Max Verstappen behind for long. However, he knows that he could hold on to George Russell. So, yeah. Also, Andy J, thank you for the donation. Another great commentary. Very much is appreciated, buddy. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Look at this. Fastest lap of the race from Lando Norris. Wow, he is really attacking now. I thought Verstappen would start to pick up the pace and try to go quicker than Norris, but no. Another fastest lap of the race. It must be 30 laps of the race. It must be 30 laps of the race that Lando Norris has set fastest laps. Like, it's enormous. All right. Is this the... Right. What else was I going to say? Is this live stream going to be saved to your channel to watch later? Oh yeah, all of my live streams are saved. I think I've got live streams back to 2021. Honestly, don't go back and watch them because my commentary is terrible. My thumbnails are terrible. I mean, that being said, all of my thumbnails right now, they're made in PowerPoint. Like, I'm not a graphic design expert or anything. I'm just your average person. But yeah, for fun fact, all of my thumbnails are all made in PowerPoint. Through goes Hamilton incoming. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll have a through goes Russell. Hamilton's still 6 seconds behind Leclerc in Russell's battle, so it's going to be a while. What happened to Albon? I think he had some sort of engine issue. He was driving very, very slowly. And, Russell, he tries to overtake Leclerc off the side of the road. He gets pushed off the side of the road. Leclerc is doing an amazing defensive job here. We've finally got some racing. We're on lap number 36 of 62. George Russell once again looking to attack into the first corner. He's a little bit too far back. And Charles Leclerc, he's recharging his battery. And he's getting prepared to defend once again. George Russell, he's on a totally different strategy. He's on a set of hard tyres. And Leclerc's on a set of mediums, so it would be optimal for Leclerc to just, let Russell by, but he's not going to do that. He's going to keep him behind, and he's going to potentially keep him behind enough so that when he comes into the pits, he might be able to re-overtake him. All right. Here we go then. George Russell, as he tried to overtake Charles Leclerc into turn number 16, it was very, very tough. Leclerc on the inside, there was sparks flying everywhere, and Russell had to go off into the dusty area of the off-track circuit, essentially, off the track, onto the dust, and his tyres got a little bit dirty, and he's going to be a bit slow for the next couple of sectors. Did Lewis have a worse strategy? Yeah, I think so. Lewis had a set of soft tyres on the start of the race rather than the mediums, so yeah. All right, can Sainz catch up? 15 seconds is the gap for Sainz. It's going to be a long old time if he's going to catch up. No, I think it's going to be, unfortunately, it's race over for Sainz. Well, not race over. If the safety car comes out, of course, anything can happen. But in this current position, he's 15 seconds off the back of Hamilton. It's going to be a very long time till he catches up. And look at this. Lando Norris, another fastest lap of the race. I mean, by the end of this race, right, 62 laps of racing, I think at least 30 fastest laps have gone to Lando Norris. All right, they've said it will be very tight with Hülkenberg. Come on. So the pit crew are, it's under pressure for them. They've got to do a very quick pit stop. It's a pretty quick pit stop. The Ferrari crew have done a good job, 2.2 seconds, and Leclerc is now coming out the pit lane very, very slowly. Hülkenberg, if he gets out ahead of him, that is going to be absolutely enormous for him. He was stuck behind Hülkenberg and Alonso for so long, and it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. Leclerc, he exits the pit lane. Hülkenberg coming towards turn number 1. And Leclerc just slides ahead. Half a second is the gap. If that pit stop was any slower, Leclerc would have lost the position to Hülkenberg. But a good job by the Ferrari pit crew. A fantastic, fantastic job. And, Leclerc manages to hold position over Hulk. Hulk's going to have DRS, but it's going to be... it's a futile attempt there for Hülkenberg. Why are the V-carbs using the softs? Well, it's the alternate strategy. The alternate strategy, start the race on the mediums, then go on to the soft tyres to the end of the race. It's a bit more tricky to manage, but Piastri's trying it. Piastri's, in fact, just come over the radio saying, this is getting tricky now. So, yeah, Piastri's having a tough time as well managing those soft tyres. Managing the mediums, because he's still got to do 25 laps on the softs. So, ideally, you drag the mediums out to lap number 40, and then you only do 22 laps on the softs. But we'll wait and see. Also, folks, we're getting pretty close to 7,000 likes, or we could get 8,000 likes probably. We've got 44,000 people watching, which is spectacular. Folks, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. I commentate all of the races, all of the qualifying sessions, and all of the practice sessions if I get enough time for the practice. So, yeah, please be sure to subscribe. I'll be, commentating all of the future races as well. And this season has been spectacular. This race a little bit more dull than the rest of them. But look at the dominance from Lando Norris. I mean, so many fast laps of the race. And we got Colapinto overtaking one of the V-carbs, actually. Oh, no, I thought there's a replay of him overtaking the Alpine. He overtook Gasly, and then he overtook Ricciardo and Tsunoda. Okay, the replay must have been pretty old then. But yes, Colapinto has done a fantastic job. He's in 11th position, and he's only one place away from the points, 3 seconds away from the points. Oscar should ideally pit this lap while he can have a pit stop to P4 and maintain a podium. Well, let's have a look. Piastri, 14 seconds behind Norris. If he pits now, he comes out in... He comes out in 5th position. He comes out behind Hamilton, I think. Yeah. So he's going to have a long old time. But that being said, he's going to be on soft tyres. So I think what they're doing is, as long as Piastri can keep going in the 130s, 138s, then they will keep going. And as soon as the lap times start going higher than that, he'll come into the pits. A potential Grand Slam for Norris. Norris has got pole position. He's led every single lap. And he has... he's probably going to get fastest lap. Piastri finally into the pits. There we go. Okay, so just as Chies. I mean, honestly, you should be McLaren's strategy person, because Oscar's just coming to the pits. Right. Here we go. He comes out of the pits, and yeah, he's behind Hamilton, unfortunately. Piastri and Gasly, 37 laps on the mediums. Yeah, enormous stint for both of them. Where is Gasly at? Unfortunately, Gasly's right there at the back of the pack. He's going to have a lot of catching up to do, but I think that's going to be no points for Pierre Gasly. But Piastri, though, he's got a solid chance. And he could get up into maybe third position. It's going to be tough, right? But he's only 1.5 seconds back from Hamilton, and Hamilton is only 4 seconds back from Russell. So there's a chance. Archie Sherlock, thank you for the £2 donation. Lando to beat Max for the next 4 races. Well, if that happens, then the championship will be thrown wide open. Let's wait and see. Oh, there's an investigation. Colapinto leaving the track and gaining an advantage at turn number 16. We'll see what happens there with Colapinto. I think when he overtook Gasly, I think that must have been it. Oh no, Ocon has tried to overtake Pierre Gasly 2 laps ago. Totally missed that. And Ocon gets the overtake done on his teammate after, of course, Gasly comes into the pits anyway. So I don't know why they're showing us this replay. Yeah. All right, we're getting pretty close to 1,005 subscribers. Not 1,005 subscribers, 105k subscribers. My Insta is F1_gamer_5, so go ahead and follow that. I'm planning to get an ex-Formula 1 driver, an ex-racing driver on the channel. So I think I can get Nicholas Latifi's email, but I'm going to try and see if I can get anyone's email, really. Anyone's email, anyone's Instagram. And hopefully, if you follow me on Instagram, it just makes my account look a little bit more credible. I'll have a little bit more followers. And when I'm reaching out to people. So I'm planning to get an ex-Formula 1 driver or an ex-racing driver on the channel. And then also I'll do a face reveal because, we'll both have our faces on there. So we'll see. But yeah, for that, if you guys could follow my Instagram, F1_gamer_5, that massively, essentially, it just makes my account look more credible. And if you have any feedback, any suggestions, or, just nice messages you want to send me, my DMs are totally open. So go ahead and DM me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, telling 45,000 people to DM me probably isn't the best way to go about things, but I don't think all 45,000 of you will DM me. So, yeah. All right, Verstappen, he's coming up on a bit of traffic here between Bottas and Joe, but they'll get out of the way soon enough. And look at that, Norris still 137.1. On the previous lap, Verstappen a 136.9, so a 0.2 of a second gap there, but 0.2 of a second is not going to be enough. Yeah. All right, let's have a look. Oh wow, my phone's just blowing up here. So many people have just started to follow me. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for just following me there. There we go. All right. Let me have a look at what the Grand Slam is. I think Grand Slam means you top all of the practice sessions. I'm not sure. Actually, no. A Grand Slam is a feat where the driver achieves pole, leads every lap, and taking the fastest lap of the race. Well, so no, Lando Norris could get a Grand Slam here. That would be mind blowing, wouldn't it? All right. Yeah, a 23-second gap for the lead. We haven't had such domination since the start of the. We haven't had such domination since the start of the year when Verstappen finished 22 seconds ahead of Perez at the Bahrain Grand Prix. So enormous. We haven't had that for so long. If you look at the gaps, it's been going down since the start of the season. It was 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 0.5 seconds. That's what the gaps were between first and second place. This race has totally just ballooned away to 23 seconds, and we're still 21 laps left of this race. So that being said, folks, 21 laps left of this race. That's 21 laps that a safety car could come out, and we could get a whole lot of action. All right, Piastri, he overtook Hamilton. I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah. F1 Gamers One said that they got an advert. I think. I think that is. I think that's just the adverts that you get at the start of the stream. I can't do anything about that, unfortunately. YouTube just has to put them in, but there's no adverts midstream because I have definitely blocked them. So, yeah. Piastri overtook Hamilton, is closing in on Russell. Well, any closing comments? I think we're going to see Piastri get Russell is going to get very, very feisty here. That's all I'm going to say, because this is for the podium. Yamila Catania, thank you for the donation. You're doing an amazing job, mate. Thank you very, very much, and very much appreciated. I mean, all of the donations, everyone that's donated on Patreon and stuff, very much is appreciated, and yeah, it's mind blowing. I mean, you guys are fantastic fans. Everyone in the chat is so lovely. So many of you say thank you at the end of the stream. I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. As Lewis Hamilton would say, hashtag grateful. And you guys are the best fans in the world. Oh, they've just said swap positions at Ferrari. What are they doing here? Well, actually, no. Fair enough. Leclerc is on a different race strategy. They're doing team orders down at Ferrari. They're swapping positions. Leclerc should get the overtake done on Sainz as they go on to one of the few upcoming straights. Hashtag blessed. Yeah, indeed. Hashtag blessed to have so many fantastic fans. Right. Oh, wow. Yeah, my phone is still blowing up. F1_gamer_5. So many people are still following. All right, Hamilton podium still possible? Ooh, I don't think so. Piastri has got far too much pace to keep going. And look at that, fastest lap of the race from Piastri, a 1:35.8. Wow, he goes a significant chunk quicker than his teammate, and Norris may not get a Grand Slam after all. Piastri, after all, is on fresher tyres. He's in the same McLaren car. Maybe they'll tell Piastri to not go for fastest lap. Maybe they'll, I think Verstappen will be trying to get fastest lap here. If you have a look, Verstappen's been conserving his tyres. He's been in clean air for the majority of this race, and both drivers will try to go for fastest lap of the race, so we'll see. It's not confirmed just yet that Lando Norris will get fastest lap and then a Grand Slam, but it could happen. It could happen indeed. Also, folks, who do you think is driver of the day? Let me know who you think it's going to be. I don't know, actually. Who would I say is my driver of the day? I would say Leclerc. Leclerc has done a fantastic job on those medium tyres. He's pulled out an enormous stint, very similar to what Piastri has done. But Leclerc's gained a couple more places than Piastri. I think Piastri, here we go. Piastri versus Russell. Let's go. All right, Leclerc said we can keep this pace to the end of the race. That's what they're planning to do for Charles Leclerc. But what happens to Charles Leclerc does not matter. We have got Oscar Piastri versus George Russell for the third place spot on the podium. Here we go. Hulkenberg is defending against Perez. Fantastic job there from Hulkenberg. Still holding on to 2 points there in 9th position. Yeah, let's wait and see. Here comes Oscar Piastri. 6/10 is the gap as he goes through turn number 1, 2, and 3. All of the drivers are so close to each other, and they are really pushing now. Really pushing. All right, folks, 44,000 of you are watching this live stream. Be sure to strap yourselves in, get some popcorn, because we are going to have 19 laps of battling between Piastri and Russell. Russell is not going to make it easy. Piastri's tyres are going to get older and older, and this battle is going all the way down to the wire. Look at fastest lap of the race from Charles Leclerc. Leclerc could get 5th position. He could overtake Hamilton here. It all depends on how consistent he can be on those hard tyres to the end of this race. We've got 19 laps remaining. The gap between himself and Hamilton, 13 seconds. So it is well within Charles Leclerc's range of possibility to catch up to Hamilton and get that 5th place after starting in 9th. All right. All right. Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on here. Russell, they've come over the radio to Russell saying there's a chance that we can keep. There's a chance that Leclerc will catch up to us. They've come over the radio to Russell to say there's a chance Leclerc can catch up to us. I think Russell has got much bigger problems that Leclerc will catch up to him at the end of the race. I think the bigger problem at hand now is that Piastri is only half a second back from Russell, and he's gaining through the braking zone they go. And Piastri is much later on the brakes. Look at this. He's got 11 lap fresher tyres compared to George Russell. That is enormous pace difference for Piastri. He is, he's head down, opens the DRS as he comes down the main straight, and what is the gap going to be? 0.3 of a second. The gap has halved from what it was last lap. Last lap it was 0.6, now it is 0.3. Oscar Piastri is chasing him down. The Mercedes is sliding about here and there under traction. Both Mercedes drivers struggling immensely under traction, and here comes Oscar Piastri. He's looking to pounce. He opens the DRS flap lap as he heads towards turn number 6, the little kink in the road, and he's gaining, he pulls out to the left-hand side, George Russell on the inside, Piastri sweeps around the outside, Russell tries to fight it as they go into turn number 7, they're side by side, and Piastri's got the overtake done. Piastri has got that done very, very nicely, and it is third place for Oscar Piastri. I said this battle was going to go on for longer, but no, George Russell just could not defend. He didn't have the top end speed, and Piastri swooped around the outside. A fantastic overtake, I must say. And now we're going to have Charles Leclerc chase down Lewis Hamilton. Look at that. The previous lap, he was 2 seconds a lap quicker than Lewis Hamilton. This is looking very, very good for Charles Leclerc. He could probably overtake Hamilton. He could probably also overtake Russell. I think that's why they were coming over the radio to Russell to say, oh, I guess they kind of just ignored Piastri. They knew that Piastri would get past. But now Leclerc's the bigger question. Can he overtake Hamilton and also overtake Russell by the end of this race? All right, here we go. And the Constructors' Championship, folks, we were talking about Ferrari and how they were, how there was a chance that Ferrari could go ahead and get ahead of Red Bull. That chance seems to be slipping away as the moments go on. Of course, this is just one race, but it seems like McLaren will definitely get the first place in the Constructors. I don't think there's any sort of chance that Ferrari will be able to do it. After so many points they're going to get this weekend, I think they're going to get 25 from Norris and 15 from Piastri, so that's going to be 40 points in total. And Ferrari in 6th and 7th, they are not going to get anywhere near that. They're going to get half probably, or even less. All right, maybe Piastri driver of the day, maybe Leclerc. I think both of them going for the same strategy, of course, go very, very long on your first stint, then pit onto hard tyres and attack right to the end of the race. Yeah, so we'll see. I think if Leclerc can go up to 4th position, so if he can overtake both Hamilton and Russell, then he would be driver of the day for me, because he would have gained 5 places from where he started. Why is it every time Lando is leading that he gets ahead, it gets by a huge margin? Is it magic? I don't know. Maybe the McLaren is better in clean air than it is in dirty air by a significant margin compared to all the other teams, but I don't see that being a possible explanation, really. I think just the weekends that McLaren are dominant, they're dominant by a significant margin, whereas at the weekends where they aren't, everyone is right next to each other, and because of that, Norris never really gets into the lead. Bro, what he's saying, just leave my Mercs. Well, I don't think me saying much is going to have effect. Of course, there's a slight commentator's curse that some people believe in. I mean, sometimes I've done the commentator's curse and I've said someone's going to retire and someone's going to crash and they actually do. But no, I don't know. We'll see what happens to the Mercs. Leclerc is really chasing him down, though. On the previous lap, once again, he was still 2 seconds quicker than Hamilton. Purple middle sector for Charles Leclerc. Fastest lap of the race from Charles Leclerc. And it is looking very, very good. They come over the radio to Russell saying, it's like a sauna in here, mate. The drivers are actually prepared very, they have to prepare specifically for the Singapore Grand Prix. Singapore and Qatar, the 2 most physically intensive races for the drivers. Singapore isn't too bad, but Qatar has got so many long sweeping corners that... Oh no, who is this? I think that's Tsunoda. Is that Tsunoda losing 2 positions in one corner? Not ideal there for Tsunoda. Is it Tsunoda? No. Or is it Ricciardo? Oh, it might have been Ricciardo, actually. Oh, Norris clipped the barriers. It's not a big issue. He was very, very close to... Well, he did touch the barriers, essentially, but no damage or anything like that. But the mistakes are creeping in. And this is what I'm saying. The drivers have to train specifically for the Singapore Grand Prix and the Qatar Grand Prix because it's exceedingly hot, exceedingly humid. And... Russell was talking about his warm-ups and his procedure to train for this Grand Prix, and because what he did was he wore 3-4 layers and then went on a run just to prepare for all of the sweating and the dehydration because when you are dehydrated, you've got mental fog and all of these other things, and you have to be physically ready for that. So Russell, goes out running with 3 layers just to prepare for the Singapore Grand Prix. I mean, I'm sure it's not just Russell. I'm sure all the drivers do that, but they do have to be prepared. And Qatar's even worse because Singapore, admittedly, it's a street circuit. There's quite a lot of slow corners. The G-forces aren't too intense. Qatar has got so many long corners. We saw last year a lot of the drivers were complaining. I think Sargent was complaining about feeling sick. I think Stroll threw up after the end of the race. Yeah, it's a very, very physical sport. All right, lap number 48 of 62. 15 laps remain of this race, and Lando Norris is 25 seconds in the lead, even after clipping the barrier. No damage whatsoever. It was just a very slight kiss to the wall. But nonetheless, it was, the mistakes are creeping in, and a fastest lap of the race from Lando Norris. I mean, where is he pulling this pace from? Of course, his tyres have got quite a lot of pace left in them, given that he's been in clean air for quite a while. But still, huge pace from Lando Norris. Fantastic job. Ocon threw up in his helmet and Lance fainted. Yeah, it's quite... it's crazy, isn't it? It is crazy indeed. All right. So, folks, we're getting pretty close to our subscriber target. So if you guys haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. We're getting pretty close to the like target as well. 44,000 people watching, which is incredible. Yeah. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. I hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. And folks, let's not have too much, wishing for Lando Norris to crash in the chat. Of course, he did have the little moment, but yeah. We had this with Max. Max was dominating. Norris has only dominated in one race so far this season, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. All right. What else was I going to say? Oh, they've come over to Norris. Okay, so full concentration. Take a drink. I'm surprised Lando Norris has still got water left in his drink bottle. He's got 1.5 litres in his drink bottle. He's probably sweated out 3 litres of water already. So I'm surprised he hasn't finished that up. In fact, that reminds me, I'm going to have a quick sip of water. My throat is really starting to kill me now. But yeah, you get used to it after I've been commentating for quite a while now. How long has it been, actually? 3 and nearly 4 years now. The first race I properly commentated was, well, not properly, but the first race I kind of commentated was the 2020 Russian Grand Prix, so a very long time ago, but my throat still hasn't got used to it. Right, Charles Leclerc, look at that. He is caught up to the back of Lewis Hamilton. Look at the tyre difference between Leclerc and Hamilton. 31 laps for Hamilton, 12 laps for Leclerc. That's nearly 20 laps of a tyre difference. Charles Leclerc is a man on a mission. On the previous lap, he was 3 seconds faster than Lewis Hamilton. He's going to have DRS as he comes out of the final corner here. Let's see what Charles Leclerc can do. It's looking good. Looking good. Here we go. DRS open. Oh, K-Mag's got a puncture. K-Mag has got a puncture. He's going slowly, is he? Oh my god. They've just come over the radio. K-Mag's got a puncture. Oh, we could have a safety car here. This could be exciting. We've got 12 laps left to go. K-Mag has got a puncture. He's going very, very slowly, crawling around. They've got to deploy surely at least yellow flags for K-Mag until he makes it back into the pits. Is he going to park up in the escape road? What's going on here? What is going on? I mean, if we have a safety car, that could really spice things up. Leclerc dives down the inside at 5. Hamilton can do nothing about it. And Leclerc's now on his mission to catch up to George Russell. 8 seconds is the gap. With 12 laps left to go, it's going to be tough, but Leclerc was catching up 2 seconds a lap to Hamilton, so I'm sure we could do the exact same to Russell. K-Mag still going slowly. What are the FIA doing? Surely at least a yellow flag. I mean, they're showing blue flags for K-Mag because he's already lapped, but... yeah, he's got a puncture. He's crawling around now. He's trying not to damage his floor. This is one thing that the drivers do have to be very careful with, that they don't want to damage the floor. If the tire and the rubber of the tire starts wobbling around too much, then you damage the floor and you're basically out of the race. I mean, K-Mag's already out of the race. He's in 19th position. We've got a replay here. He's going through turn number 5. He touches the apex. He touches the wall as well. And I think that's where the puncture begins. Yeah, he just ever so slightly taps the barrier, and that may be a puncture. Well, it is a puncture for K-Mag, and yeah, that's a puncture. Still, no safety car. What are you doing, the FIA? I mean, race control, at least a yellow flag. That would be nice. Does Verstappen have another pit stop in this race? No. No one else has another pit stop in this race unless the safety car comes out. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Leclerc immediately, look at this. Leclerc's so sharp. He says, how are these tires? Oh no, his engineer comes over the radio saying, how are these tires for a restart? Leclerc said he would probably stop. And to be fair, he's been pushing so hard for 14 laps. It would make sense that he comes into the pits. All right. K-Mag finally into the pits. Are they going to replace it? Are they going to replace his tires? They are replacing his tires. He comes back out onto the circuit. All right. F1 Gamer, which driver / team do you cheer for? I'm just a fan of Formula One, really. When Seb Vettel was still in Formula One, I'd support Seb Vettel. He's my favourite driver. But since he's retired, I'm sort of a non-biased commentator, really. Yeah. I know a lot of folks here who complain about the Sky Sports commentary, and it's an interesting thing, the biasness in sports. If you listen to the Spanish commentary, they're totally biased towards Ferrari. If you listen to the Spanish commentary, they're totally biased to Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz. If you listen to the Dutch commentary, they're super biased to Max Verstappen. But the problem is, the people listening to the Italian commentary are probably Italian, and they probably don't care that they're biased to Ferrari. The Spanish people are probably supporting Fernando Alonso anyway, so they don't care that the Spanish commentators are biased. Whereas for the British commentary or the English commentary, all of the world is listening. People from Canada, people from Australia, people from South Africa, people from anywhere, all around the world are listening. And because of that, the British biasness becomes a bit of a problem. It isn't, the biasness is present everywhere. It's just a problem because the British one is being broadcast all over the world, whereas, the Italian one is only being broadcast to the Italians. Yeah. So, anyway, let's get back into the race. Look, Charles Leclerc, look at that gap, 6.5 seconds to George Russell, and it was previously 8.8 seconds. So he's going to chase down Russell soon enough, and I think we could have an overtake on the final lap of the race here. Charles Leclerc versus George Russell. Yeah, I mean, there are people watching in South Africa, people watching from Toronto. And I'm sure there are people watching from the UK that aren't supporting British drivers. I'm from the UK, but I support Seb Vettel, so... Ooh, Russell's come over the radio saying, I just kissed the wall, thinking all fine, rear right, and they've just come over the radio to Russell saying, yeah, the pressure's looking good, no need to worry. All right. Oh wow, we've reached our like goal. We're very close to reaching our subscriber goal as well. I mean, let's see if we can hit 10,000 likes by the end of the stream. I don't know if we've hit that before, but why not try? Why not try, folks? We're getting pretty close to we're 50 subscribers away, in fact. All right. Yeah, here comes Charles Leclerc. I think Charles Leclerc is going to be my driver of the day. Even if he doesn't catch up to Russell and overtake him, I think he will be my driver of the day. In fact, I think he will. Look at that. Within the space of 30 seconds, he's caught up 1 second. He's really, really attacking there. It's looking good. Yeah, I mean, look at this. We've got people from all over the world. Kuwait, Zimbabwe, Canada, India. India, everywhere, yeah. Fantastic. These drivers love the walls, don't they? Yeah, everyone's just kissing the walls, aren't they? No, it just happens at Singapore. You're driving around 62 laps, and the utter amount of focus that you need is the focus that you need is mind-blowing, really. And the fact that the drivers don't make more mistakes is surprising to me, really. Yeah, all right. Perez, I've got to point out, Perez started the race in 13th position. He's only in 10th place. 10th place only. Oh, wow, we've got so many people typing from everywhere. India, Pakistan, Switzerland. Wow. Yeah, well, clearly everyone is, this is YouTube. Everyone here is from all different parts of the world. It's quite interesting, actually. I'm commentating here. 15 seconds later, there are people from all corners of the world listening to what I've got to say, and it's quite mind-blowing how YouTube can actually make that work. Is that Russell? What's happening to Russell here? Oh no, he's just touched the barrier. That's just the replay of him touching the barrier. Okay. All right, folks. That's it. That's enough of the spam. I think there's quite a few people just typing out the same country again and again. But no, it's great. All right, folks, look at the gap. It's 30 seconds. Norris could come into the pits, do another pit stop, and still finish ahead of Verstappen. This is mind-blowing. incredible, incredible. A fastest lap of the race from Kevin Magnussen. He's just pitted onto the soft tyres. Honestly, K-Mag, if you just ruined Lando Norris's Grand Slam, I'm sure so many Red Bull and Ferrari fans would be happy with you. But no, I think Lando Norris definitely deserves a Grand Slam this weekend. If he can pull off a fastest lap of the race, go quicker than K-Mag on a fresh set of softs, then that'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? But here comes Charles Leclerc. 3.7 seconds is the gap. It is getting closer and closer. They've come over the radius of Norris saying, just chill out, bring the race home. Okie dokes. Yeah, everyone is, everyone at the McLaren crew is just like, mate, you've got a 30-second lead. Lando Norris could drive the final lap in reverse and still win this race. Maybe not the final lap. He could drive the final sector in reverse and still win this race, right? There is no need to push too hard. There's no need to touch the barriers. You can take some risks. You don't need to take the risks, essentially. Right. Here we go then. Wow, this is a massive lead for Lando Norris. I mean, we haven't seen anything like this since last year, really. Incredible. F1 Gamer, who do you support today? I don't know. I wasn't particularly supporting anyone. I was just waking up today, hoping for some action, and you know, Singapore has delivered. It wasn't as much action as we had in Baku, but I'm going to say we've had a good amount of overtaking, a lot more than we had last year. However, last year's race was so tight. Of course, Sainz versus Norris versus Russell versus Hamilton in the final couple of laps before Russell crashed. That was spectacular. This race, of course, has been a lot more spread out. The gap, which was previously 3 seconds last year, is now up to 30 seconds. K-Mag has got a lap time deleted, folks. Yeah, very unfortunate. You got track limits at turn number 2. K-Mag did get a lap deleted. Unfortunate there, but you know, track limits are track limits, and K-Mag did go a little bit too wide. Verstappen gets the overtake done on K-Mag. Well, not the overtake. Wait, what am I saying? Verstappen's on his own. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, K-Mag's in 19th position in last place. Verstappen's in second, so I don't know how he was doing an overtake. What do you think of Sainz moves to Williams? Well, I guess it's a bit of a downgrade, isn't it, from Ferrari going to Williams? But I think the Williams team is on a pretty good upward trajectory, and with two super experienced drivers like Sainz and Albon, it could be a fantastic opportunity for them to get a significant lot quicker. Oh, here we go. We've got Perez trying to overtake Hülkenberg. He dives down the inside at turn number 13. A ridiculous overtaking opportunity there. He nearly clipped the end of Nico Hülkenberg, but Perez manages to not have any sort of contact. And Perez fighting for 10th position while his teammate is fighting for 2nd. What is going on here? Do you think Daniel is getting replaced after this race? Maybe. I think the announcement will be announced after this race. I don't think he'll be replaced, though. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah, Albon had some issues. His engine had some issues, so he came into the pits. Oh wow, we've hit our subscriber goal. I mean, why not? Why not we just keep increasing it? I mean, we hit 100k last weekend, and now we're up to 105k. I mean, the channel is growing at insane rates. Fantastic. All right, we're on lap number 57 of 62, and we have got Sergio Perez still squabbling away with Nico Hülkenberg. Charles Leclerc is creeping up on George Russell here. 6 laps left of this race, and the gap is 1.6 seconds. Very, very close indeed. All right. They're coming over the radio to Piastri, telling him to drink. Interesting. Of course, that's not normally what you see, but it is what it is. Oh, they've just come over the radio to Norris. They are being super cautious here with Norris. They're saying, just a reminder, this is how, following other drivers, you haven't done this all race long. It is very, very tricky. You don't want to, get a bit of wheel spin and then go into the barriers. Be super careful when you're passing these lap cars here. Norris going through turn number 14. He's trying to get ahead of Colapinto, Perez, and Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg is still defending against Perez successfully, might I add. So Hülkenberg did a fantastic job defending against Alonso and Leclerc in the first stint of this race. And Unfortunately, after the pit stops, he lost positions to both of them, but he's still defending against Perez. Also, Carlos Sainz, 43 laps on his hard tyres. Take a bow, Carlos Sainz. Admittedly, it wasn't the best strategy from Ferrari. It would have been better for him to go long on the mediums and then pit onto the hards later on. But yeah, it's a fantastic fantastic drive from him. We'll see if Alonso can catch up. The gap is 2.5 seconds, and we've got 5 laps after this race. Charles Leclerc's within DRS range of George Russell. Look at this. The tyre difference, between those two drivers is 9 laps. Russell has got 9-lap older tyres, and we'll wait and see what Charles Leclerc can do. Will he get that 4th place spot? The current vote split for driver of the day, 19% for Lando Norris, 12% for Charles Leclerc, and 11% for Max Verstappen. So yeah, do let me know who you think your driver of the day is. But look at that gap. The gap's gone down to 25 seconds. Lando Norris is going quite carefully as he's getting through all of this traffic, but he doesn't need to worry. He's not going to... Max Verstappen is not catching up anytime soon, to be honest. All right, here we go. Charles Leclerc versus George Russell, and the final 5 laps of this race. We've seen this happen before. George Russell made the slightest of mistakes and the final couple of laps of the Singapore Grand Prix and went off. We'll see if he repeats that or if he can learn from his mistakes. But here comes Charles Leclerc in towards turn number 5. He's too far back on this occasion, and but yeah, he's gaining. I think on the next lap, currently the gap is 0.6 of a second, 5/10 of a second. It should come down. But both drivers, the tyres are going to be absolutely screaming. Leclerc has been pushing so hard ever since he came into the pits. He's managed to make his way ahead of Hamilton, ahead of his teammate, of course. And now he's here trying to overtake George Russell and get ahead of him as well. Right. Here we go. Charles Leclerc going through turn number 13, gets a good exit there, but George Russell, Leclerc's struggling a little bit. The following effect is pretty clear, and he is losing a bit of downforce as he comes closer and closer to George Russell, but he exits turn number 14, opens the DRS flap, and he's looking to get an overtake done into turn number 16. Can he get it done? No, he's a little bit too far back as he gets into the braking zone, but I think the next lap might be the lap. We've got 4 laps remaining of this race. Charles Leclerc is 0.4 back from Russell. With the DRS as he goes through turn number 1, it could be a very nice overtake as he goes in towards turn number 7. Let's wait and see. The DRS giving him an extra 13 kilometers per hour as he goes down the main straight, and Leclerc dives to the inside already. He's taking slightly different lines to ensure that he can get some downforce, and here we go through towards turn number 5. Both drivers extremely late on the brakes, going so close to the barriers. Leclerc's millimeters away, and on the previous lap, Leclerc was 0.3 of a second quicker. DRS is open. He looks to the inside, but George Russell has just enough pace. I think Russell knew this was coming. Mercedes knew it was coming from maybe a long time ago. I think it was 18 laps ago or something. They came over the radio to Russell to say, Leclerc's going to catch up to you by the end of this race, and they probably have prepared for that, probably have charged up the battery so that when they are going down the main straight, George Russell has some energy to deploy and he won't be a sitting duck to the Ferrari. So let's see what will George Russell do. Leclerc darts to the inside at turn number 13. He's taking slightly different lines here. That might be compromising him to get a good exit, but it's required. If he doesn't take the good line, then he's going to have so much less downforce than Russell. Oh, he's right bumper to bumper, and George Russell gets a great exit out of 14. Leclerc doesn't, and well, he's paying the price. How much longer can Charles Leclerc hang on to the back of George Russell? We've got 3 laps left of this race, and Lando Norris is still not slowing down by any stretch of the imagination. Look at that, 22 seconds ahead of Verstappen as he makes his way through traffic. He's just being careful here not to have any sort of contact, any sort of issues. Yeah, let's wait and see. All right. They've said to K-Mag box to retire the car. K-Mag is retiring. He's coming into the pits. And Nico and Daniel Ricciardo is as well. That is so unfortunate. Ricciardo and K-Mag on lap number 60 of 62 retiring from the race. All right, here comes Charles Leclerc towards turn number 5. He's still too far back. It's a mirror image. You're getting nostalgia from Baku. Leclerc is getting closer and closer, but he's just not close enough. And yeah, it's gonna. Well, we'll see. We'll see. There's 2 laps left of this race. We're on the penultimate lap. Lando Norris is gonna finish a good chunk ahead of everyone else, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Also, folks, the next race, it's in I think 3 or 4 weeks' time. It's a very, very long time away. And yeah, it's also a sprint weekend at the US Grand Prix. We're going to have a sprint qualifying, sprint race, then the normal qualifying and the normal race. So be sure to tune into that. We're getting pretty close to 10,000 likes, folks. Also, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that. What are the other things I have to say? Oh, yeah, F1 TV Pro. If you want that, the link's in the description. You get all of the onboards, all of the footage, all of the team radios, everything like that. You get access to this data as well. So, yeah. Oh, Leclerc comes over the radio saying they have very good traction again. I think Leclerc is getting flashbacks to Baku, where Piastri was getting better traction than him in the final corner, and Leclerc and Russell's doing the exact same through turn number 5, through turn number 14. In all of the critical corners, George Russell is getting very, very good traction. Yeah, follow me on Instagram, F1_gamer_5. You know, I'm just waiting for my phone to blow up again. All right. Chat tonight is wild indeed. There are so many people in the chat. Unfortunately, I can't put it on slow mode, otherwise YouTube, you know, doesn't like that. Even though it's its own feature, but yeah, we'll figure something out. I think maybe we'll have a couple more moderators in the chat. Right, here we go then. What are we going to see from... We're on the final lap of this race, and Lando Norris is doing the final circuit. He's got Fernando Alonso ahead of him. I think Alonso might just back out here and just let Norris by so he doesn't have to do 1 extra lap in the Aston Martin. However, we have still got the battle brewing between Charles Leclerc and George Russell. We'll see if there's a final lap overtake. That would be spectacular. Here we go then. We have got Lando Norris on the final lap of this race. He makes his way through the middle sector. Is he going to get a fastest lap of the race? It does not look like. Danny Rick's come into the pits. Oh, Ricciardo isn't retiring. Ricciardo just came in to do a fastest lap of the race. Funny enough. But, you know, Ricciardo, what am I going to say? Oh, yeah, Lando is not getting fastest lap, so unfortunately, it will not be a Grand Slam for him. But nonetheless, it's been a fantastic race. A 1-3 for McLaren. They've gained points in the Constructors. They've closed down the Drivers' Championship, and they finished 20 seconds ahead of Verstappen, which just goes to show how good that McLaren is in these slow-speed circuits. You know, yeah, Ricciardo is just having some fun, setting the fastest lap of the race. This might be his last race. It might be the race where he gets announced that he'll be leaving Racing Bulls at the end of the season. But it does not matter. We have had Lando Norris lead from start to finish every single lap. He has dominated. He has set so many fastest laps. Lando Norris comes across the line to win the Singapore Grand Prix. What a drive from Lando Norris. And Max Verstappen still in the second sector. That's how good Lando Norris was today. He broke his curse of losing the lead of the race on the opening lap, and Max Verstappen comes across the line in second position, and now all eyes are now on George Russell versus Charles Leclerc. Piastri is doing a good job. He's going to get third place. A fantastic drive from him coming off the back of a win. He's going to have back-to-back podiums, which is brilliant. And this is it, the final overtaking opportunity. Charles Leclerc versus George Russell. The exit through turn number 14. Leclerc gets a good exit. The gap is 0.7 of a second. DRS is wide open. But as they go towards turn number 16, Russell is too far back and the deal has been sealed. George Russell comes across the line in fourth position, and we have got Charles Leclerc in fifth place. What a race. We've got Danny Rick across the line for fastest lap, and that has been the Singapore Grand Prix, folks. What a race this has been. Spectacular, and the domination from Lando Norris is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing, to say the least. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. I hope you have enjoyed the coverage, and I do have one request for you. I'm going to end the live stream in about 30 seconds, 1 minute. If you could, it will redirect you to the US Grand Prix sprint race live stream. If you could just hit the reminder button, hit the like button on that live stream, it helps out the channel massively. But no, yeah, it's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. The fireworks are going off in Singapore, and yeah, have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are in the world. It's been a you guys have been fantastic in the chat. Thank you for all of the donations, all of the messages on Instagram, all of the follows. We're getting so close to 10,000 likes as well, folks. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do that. But yeah, I'm going to end the stream. Just the one final thing: if you could hit the like button on the US Grand Prix stream, then that would be well, that would massively help out the channel. And that's it from me. I will see you in 4 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time for the US Grand Prix race. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. See you later, folks. And yeah, just hit the like button, the reminder button, and thank you everyone for this fantastic live stream. Cheers.